Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 10th point, season 6, week 7. And I'm coughing. This is a Canadian Highlander event that is run off of the Canadian Highlander Discord. You can actually see the Discord. I've actually added I've actually added on screen now the Discord call, so that so you can see the people talking in all of their glory or lack thereof. We are ready to bring you 4 rounds of exciting Canadian Highlander action. I am, as usual, your host, Redwin. Joining me this week, as for a lot of the weeks, we have Lowman. Lowman, how goes?
Hey, it's going well, and I'm glad we get to have all these folks join us for some powerful magic, some Canadian Highlander. And thanks again for having me on. Look forward to it.
And Balix. Hi, Balix.
Hello. Back for another week of powerful magic.
So, we have 12 players today. They're all raring to go. So I'm gonna get us through our housekeeping announcements as fast as possible, and then give us some, and then post pairings. Here is so. The 10th point. Oh my god, I am sorry. The 10th point, you can find more information by typing exclamation point 10p in chat. It's a weekly Canadian Highlander tournament series. If you want more information what Canadian Highlander is, exclamation point Canlander gets you there. There's a great video on YouTube, otherwise you can look at the Canadian Highlander website. Or you can use the video link, which was the episode 0 North 100. Those are both great introductions to format and let you know, like, in general, how and what exactly the format is and how it plays. If you want to know more about the tournament, or you have questions for us, or you want to just sign up, the best way that you can do that is by joining our Discord. Exclamation point Discord gets you there, and we run the tournament off of the Discord. Plus, it's full of great people that can help you both with deck constructions and with getting actually started for the tournament. If you want to do that, at some point I'll post the link for the next week if you just want to directly sign up. As usual, this tournament is brought to you every week by, among other things, your kind support. So if you wanted to consider throwing us a sub, especially if it's your Prime sub, but Jeff Bezos does not need that money, or if you have $4-5 actual dollars out of your pocket and felt like wanting to throw them at us, we really appreciate it. It just helps us keep the boat afloat. With that said, how about we get some pairings going, because we've waited even too long.
As a heads up, Red Mage, are we going to have any matches that are going to be prohibitive in displaying, i.e., are any folks that are participating in today's event that will not have access to the ability to give us hand cams?
Yeah, I marked them in the pairings with like an asterisk, so that once we look at the pairings, we just know. Because I was also getting confused, so I figured that the best way was just mark them in the pairings, so that when we look at the pairings to figure things out, we can.
Well, I see the viewer base is jumping a little bit. So, I mean, for folks that are just joining in, I mean, you're going to be watching Canadian Highlander, which is, it's been linked inside the chat window here on Twitch. It's Hunter Card Singleton with no sideboard. Essentially a points list. I could have said a couple weeks back a vintage ban list, vintage legal ban list. Not quite the case anymore. We have one card that is legal in this format, but not in vintage, and that is, what's that companion? Luris?
Dream Den, yeah.
Yeah, which in this format, really, the power of that card is kind of irrelevant anyways, because you don't have sideboards, so you don't get to use companions that way. That all said, though, check out the Discord as well. Not only is there this event, which I mean, we'd obviously be more than happy to have more folks join and participate in because it's great fun. But Balix, my current co-host, host another event on Saturdays, and then there's also a league that habitually happens. So if maybe camera time's not your thing, those are also options that are out there. But obviously, the more players we can get in this great format, the better. I think better for everyone. So
you want to play some Highlander? We got ways for you to play. Just show up on the Discord. We'll get you hooked. What are we watching?
Well, what are the options that are available?
So we have Wolfgang on some sort of mono red against Brahms, which I'm not exactly sure what he's playing. Isaac is on green Stompy versus Zannty on blue-red control, on blue-red tempo, and then we have Arakasi.
Let's check out Isaac versus Zannty. Reason being, I think in general it'll be, depending on how Zannty's deck is built, a more challenging matchup for them. But I think if they're able to win it, it'll be some good magic. There'll be some good navigation going on there. And I think we'll also be able to check out probably another game afterwards. Because I think if the green deck does win, it'll be generally pretty decided, unless it's not pure stop. If it's all 1 through 4 drops, it's gonna be tough. But I think it'll be interesting.
I made the same mistake that I seem to be doing week in, week out. So I'm going to have to restart the stream real quick, and we're gonna be back in probably 10 seconds with that. BRB.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. We have Magic Online and capturing screens doesn't works kind of like Garbaggio. But okay, let's head over to the match. Oh, we don't have a match yet. Okay, that's probably we're waiting for Zannty and
Isaac
to actually start the match, and after that we will be good to go. I'm gonna move the coverage accounts to the correct call while we wait for them to come over. And
so taking a quick look at Isaac's list here, we see some pretty interesting inclusions that you don't see very often in typical mono green lists in this format.
It's a Necro special.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of another reason I wanted to see it. I think is I haven't seen the deck list, but if you're saying literal Stompy, I'm thinking Scythe Leopards and
yeah, we've got your usual suspects, Jungle Lion, Scythe Leopard.
Yeah. Well, they're not that usual. That's a cool thing, right? It's not that usual to see those cards played. I mean, typically, you tend to see more elves and then more 3 and 4 drops in those style decks, medium green style decks. And when I hear Stompy, I got a little excited because it's a deck you don't really see all that often in the format, and honestly, frankly, for good reasons. I mean, if you want to play the most competitive, aggressive decks, you're probably going to jump into white and red. They just have less creatures with downsides that are at that rate, and the colors themselves are more suited to accomplishing that archetype. That said, one of my favorite decks, a deck that I've spent far more time than I ever should have in the format, was mono black aggro, right? And it's never going to be a great deck. I've won a lot of games with it, but that I chalk that up more to just putting a lot of love into that deck, and I kind of like seeing decks like this get to come out and perform. And I think this is actually not a horrible matchup for it either. I think blue red can get put on the back ropes pretty fast, especially if it's more of a tempo shell. I think you'll probably see the tempo v aggro kind of dynamic go on, where tempo has to really play more control than its cards are per se suited to doing. So the mulligan decisions are going to be really important, as I do think that Zannty will be at a slight disfavor in blue red. The more controlling they go, the better off it'll get. I mean, if they're on pyroclasms and whatnot, it could be very easy. But if it's more of a tempo shell, definitely a slight incline. I wouldn't call it a complete uphill battle, but there's a slight incline, and I think it'll lead to a lot of interesting decision making.
Yep, this blue red tempo deck that Zannty is on here is playing 23 creatures.
That feels about right. I mean, it's a little high, but tempo, in my experience, generally rests right around 20. The more creatures you tend to put in, the more beat downy it's going to get. The more I guess more pure aggro control, kind of like your Blitz style, blue red, which generally tend to have about 24 to 28 critters. Less lands than any of those builds. One of the interesting things that I've tended, I don't know if you play a lot of blue-red decks in general. I do think it's the most versatile color pair in the format is in terms of, the pool of cards that are able to range a very wide spectrum of different play styles and archetypes. Like, i.e., if you want to invest in a card like Volcanic Island's not a bad one in the format. But what's interesting to me about these tempo shells, one of the issues you can run into is the mana, specifically to the tempo shells, depending on how you bias the deck. One of the issues is you kind of go lower and get more aggressive with those style of decks as it becomes more red. The big controlling versions tend to be like a 70-30 kind of split of blue to red spells, or like 60-40. And I think what can be interesting with these tempo shells is how do you balance the blue with the red cards, and what are you planning for? I mean, if it's more aggressive metagame, you want to go more red. If it's more like combo-y, control-y kind of metagame, more blue. So it's like it's a very interesting deck, and just range of decks, family of decks that fall into blue red. I'm always interested to see how they play out versus well, I think in this case it's going to be a little more challenging because it's just a critter dense, threat dense deck that is just playing a bunch of pre-replacement level threats that all just put the heat on real quick. So
So we're looking at things like Legion War Boss and Crackling Drake and all the typical blue-red tempo kind of creatures here, and notably only one way to deal with an entire board in Fiery Confluence. Nothing like Pyroclasm.
No, I think that's honestly that's a fair concession to make, depending on what you think the meta is going to look like. Me personally, from like what I've seen of the metagame, and like I've been on and off a little bit on commentary, is there have been a few red decks that have been really successful. That said, like I think me personally, if I have a range of options, I'm probably not going to go with blue-red per se in this metagame, because that tends to be a very difficult matchup for just tempo v aggro is not great. That said, like I think Fiery Confluence is a good one to have if you're going to be playing a tempo style strategy, because it gives you a pretty wide range of options from either ending the game, stymieing artifact style combo decks, or sweeping the board if you need to play control. So just to verify, Red Mage, just to make sure I'm not behind on my share screen.
I think Isaac took a long time to start the game.
No problem.
We are good to
no
go
problem
now, though.
Nope, just wanted to make sure wanted to make sure it was not my end.
No. You did good to fill the air. Isaac was having a few problems with MTGO, I think. But we're getting there now. I'm gonna get hand cams set up as fast as possible.
Awesome. And again, like I may not sound like it, but I am kind of excited to see how they built Mono Green Stompy. I built a list for someone. I mean, I ended up keeping the list myself, but like keeping the data on it. But like, I built one for someone probably about a year ago or so for the format, and it was a lot of fun to build. Especially like in a deck like that, where like you, because of like your chosen, I'm playing a monocolored aggressive deck. Like you really get to like kind of look through the history of Magic, and there's going to be about 10 to 12 slots in a deck like that where you haven't decided to splash into black or red, and you're going to have to make some decisions on them because they're probably not the best in class kind of cards. But I kind of enjoy the fact that like some of that constraint I think breeds creativity. This blue-red hand, it's got a little bit of everything going on. It can cast spells. It's got removal. I don't think the Dire Fleet Daredevil is going to be great in this matchup. I mean, they could have pump spells on the green side, but they're probably not going to use the pump spells until they get tangled up in creature combat, or if they're trying to go for a kill. The Drake is slow.
12 instants and sorceries in the mono green deck.
Yeah, it's like Giant Gross, maybe a Berserk and some stuff like that, be my guess. Like those style of effects.
Yeah.
And my guess would be like those effects aren't going to come out to play until like blockers happen, or you're just dead. So like Crackling Drake's kind of bizarre, and I'm not quite sure how to assess it. Like if you can establish early in this matchup specifically, if you can establish control like early enough, which this hand does have one burn spell and it's got good mana, but I think I'd prefer to have one less mana and one more burn spell in this hand, or another threat. You could do all right. And depending on how low to the ground this green Stompy deck is, the 2/1 with First Strike could be a pretty relevant roadblock.
Yeah.
My question with this hand is like, what do you do in turn 3? Because I think if nothing happens on turn 1, and you've got the draw on this one, I believe. Oh, we lost the screen there. I think you have to draw this game. on the slower deck, which is obviously probably not to your benefit against an aggressive deck. Are you just jamming the critter, or are you leaving up the spear to try to trade on board and build up equity in your Drake so you can start clocking? So I guess we'll see.
Yep,
if there's nothing on turn 1, I'm pretty happy if I'm not the blue-red pilot, though.
Yeah, likely not looking like anything, no accelerants here on turn 1 for Isaac, which is pretty good for Zannty only having this one removal spell here.
Yeah. Land's not what you want to see. Again, like we're kind of talking, I was mentioning, all right, I believe, a guy who probably plays more blue-red than they should, like, I wouldn't want another land there. But, it is what it is. But yeah, no, the fact that you're not playing catch-up on a 1-drop, and shockingly enough, there are a significant number of really good 1-drops in green, and there's also a much larger number of just 2-power 1-drops in green or higher. Still haven't broken. What's it? The Shaman, like not Loaming Shaman. Loaming Shaman's a different card, but the one that's a 3/3 for 1 where your OP gets to search for a land. It's real bad.
Oh, the Dryad
old growth Dryads. Old growth Dryad. Yeah, that's a card.
Interesting looking at Isaac's deck here. We see a very low number of 1-drops, only 9 in the deck. Notably not including Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, we see a Groundbreaker. I mean, that could mean that like we were a little bit incorrect when we were talking about like what Stompy is, or how it looks. This could be more of a medium green style deck, which is 100% fine. It still is kind of a Stompy deck. The term Stompy's kind of like been stomped around a lot, if you will. Like originally it was like these really like low to the ground green decks that were like Wild Dog decks, like Wild Dog's 2/2 for 1 green. It has cycling 2, generic. It's not a great card. Well, actually, I didn't give you the complete rules text. If you have less life during your upkeep, or whoever has the most life during your upkeep gains control of the dogs, so it's pretty bad. It's Gazban Ogre, except it has cycling. So,
wait a second. Are you saying that they're a medium green with Groundbreaker?
I don't know. It's hard to say, right? I mean, they've got a 4-drop Karn, which is fairly mid-rangey card. It's not an aggressive card, really, unless you have just a ton of artifacts, and we haven't seen a ton out of them. I mean, like their hand just looks like it's mostly green cards. Earthbreaker, I'm having a hard time, or Groundbreaker. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time kind of evaluating why it's in their deck. And it could just be because they like the card. That card has a cult following. People love that card. Yeah. Like people who like that style of card love that style of card, and I haven't played it in a long time. I don't even think Ball Lightning is good enough in red deck wins. But there are some folks who just love that goddamn card. They're just like, I want to play a 6-1 with trample and haste, in green.
Isn't Blahguy playing Ball Lightning in his red black deck?
Maybe. I know he's playing Skelemental. I don't know that he's playing Lightning. Or not Lightning. Ball Lightning. But it could be. I think if you sat down and had a very in-depth conversation with them, they'd probably be like, yeah, it's probably not right to be playing it. It does a lot of damage, but 3 mana is a ton for 6. I mean, being able to be disrupted by anything as well, and the open mana is kind of risky.
So here we see Zannty just running out the Direfleet Daredevil as a blocker here.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's not like they have another option. They get to leave up Spell Snare here. They burned off the first threat. They want to just get some chip damage and get a clock in, and then hopefully, for them, this also stops the Groundbreaker as well, which they're not going to know that, but it's going to make basically this next turn you kind of almost want to just play out this mana and then another threat to kind of go up the ground. Because playing Karn out is just you're going to make a 1/1 and then your Karns. You make a 1/1, you can get a card, and your Karn's just going to be under pressure. So Groundbreaker doesn't do anything here because it's a first strike creature. So I think maybe they didn't read this card. The single attack, it has trample. It has to attack. I mean, it doesn't have to attack, but it's going to die at the end of turn. So you're going to attack. You should block here. First strike it into the graveyard, and that's kind of just that's a misplay at the end of the day. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's just a misplay. That's all right. It happens. We're not going to block it, I guess. Oh no, okay, we are. All right. Thought we clicked through that one. I was like, oh no. Yeah. Rough.
Yeah, this green deck seems to be in the very large range of things, with things like Wolfir Silverheart and Myconic Slime in the hand here.
Yeah, it seems like it's more medium green just looking at the cards that are in their hand. Although they have some they have other cards of 3/3 or something. The 2 green mana one.
Just looks to be some.
Yeah, it's just a green card. Yeah, it may be the 2/3 Nissa something. It's either 2/3 or 3/3. But yeah, it's kind of this is chosen.
Yeah, Nissus
Or
Chosen.
Swordwise Centaur. It's a little fuzzy where I'm looking at right now, so I can't quite tell what the card is, but it's some green beater that Their draw out hasn't been great though. Any of these draws have not been phenomenal. They've drawn literally one spell, so you know, and they kept a mana rich hand.
Ooh, and
I think
here
it's
we
a Kalonian
see,
Tasker after looking at it, but
It could be.
here we see a Chainweb Arachnir off the top for Izzet here, which is the perfect answer for this Crackling Drake coming up in a few turns.
Yeah, no, it can definitely deal with it.
Can it? You need to like escape it in order to actually have it do the thing.
Sure. I mean, right now, I kind of feel like Isaac. It seems like the way Isaac's played this. I mean, like the Groundbreaker aside, like that was just a play error. Like it seems like they seem to think they have the inevitability, like they have the more like powerful long game, which might be true. I don't know because they're not putting a ton of pressure on their OP. They're gaining card advantage, which, in my opinion, like I don't know if that's true or not. Like there may be like some questions about role assumption here, like whether you should be playing the beatdown or whether you should be playing the tempo. We should probably relabel their deck too. Red Bay, just for folks coming into like medium green. I don't think I'd call this mono green Stompy.
Yeah.
Not to be like.
Yeah,
that was a good one right there.
Yeah.
Not so. That was actually a really solid draw right there.
The way that the deck has been described to me earlier in the whole was mono green with Stompy-like properties, but I couldn't fit that on the deck name.
Yeah, no problem. I just call it medium green. It's close to medium green, I would say. Like it's closer to that than it is to like pure Stompy.
Definitely.
Not a big deal either way. All right, so Faithless Lose a find. This is nice because you get like right now. The tempo deck doesn't care about as much at this point about card advantage. It wants to get rid of these garbage lands. Like you're better off being down a card and not having 2 additional lands in your hand. When you have all the mana your deck likely requires. My guess would be Crackling Drake is probably top end, like probably one of the most expensive cards in their deck. But don't know that for a fact, but I think it's a pretty decent guess.
Yeah, it is the most expensive creature in their deck.
Yeah, it makes sense. They also have an Arclight Phoenix, but I mean that's kind of a 0 dropper. It should be you generally play it as a 0 drop. Alrighty, so we're waiting for the Faithless Looting. Well, it wasn't a great pull. You just get rid of 2 lands here. They're going to get rid of the non-basics, rather not take the damage to abate the racing situation, and also increase equity in Price of Progress, which my assumption is they're probably running. I think it's still worth a point in these tempo shells. Is it going to be great in this game? No, probably not. But that's all right.
Yeah.
Thing in the Ice, hell of a draw.
Yep.
That's a pretty good one, yeah.
Wide green strategies.
Yep. Well, and it also just gets that last 7 in if that's what you're looking to get. This Drake has gotten big pretty quickly. I wouldn't be shocked if this goes directly to face. Would not be shocked. So they want to buy this back. I mean, it's good advantage to be able to have this card, get this card back with the alternate cost. That said, like I don't think Zannty's trying to give him time. It's another card I'm not exceedingly familiar with that they just drew.
I think that's a Pulse of the Tangle.
Could be. Yep. They definitely have some interesting ones. And like I said, it's a little fuzzy on the side, and all of these cards are really gosh darn green.
Yeah. The source of the that they're using to give us their hand is just very low quality, so it's
no big deal. No big deal. It's just a little tougher with some of these cards that are a little bit more eclectic, but it's fine. Pulse,
I've been trying to put them in screen when I figure out what they are, but I actually don't know myself.
Yeah, okay. So it's not just me. I'm like, man, I'm sucking today. I really can't. Some of these cards, I'm just like, what the hell is that? A Pulse. Haven't seen a Pulse played in a hot minute. They're very cool cards. Unfortunately, they're not going to get it back there because they were a creature parity. The Champion of Landbolt's an interesting one. Champion of Landbolt's actually a really powerful card. In general, it's not going to be the best against red mana because it's a very small creature. Initially
Yeah.
for 3 mana, it does grow, but the issue you run into with Champion of Lamble is it's a card that does not really allow you to race because as it gets bigger and bigger, its power determines what creatures on the opposing side are able to block via reading the card, as you can see up there right now. So it's a very powerful card. It's a little fragile. It's a little glass cannon-y. We see a Thing in the Ice get down, which I believe is not going to be able to block because it has less power than the champ.
Yep.
So that kind of is rough. Fairy Conclave is an interesting one. I don't tend to run it in these tempo lists. I just don't tend to care for tap lands as much. Although if you had to draw a land there, that's probably one of the better ones to have drawn.
Yep.
I do think you just keep the heat on the life total here. I think you want to get them dead as quick as you can. I think I would ignore the Karn. I mean, they're going to continue to have card advantage off of it, but you're not going to kill it for what, 2 more? It's 2 more activations of Karn, so I think I just let them have the cards personally and just get their life chopped nice and low.
So you see a Renata off the top.
Yeah, cool card. Legend.
There's some very interesting cards in this mono green list.
I think the thing is with like these green decks, like these more medium style green decks, I wouldn't say this is like, like the definitive medium green, but it's definitely more medium green than it is like Stompy. Is that like a lot of the cards, frankly, are like kind of replacement level. Like the difference between like running a Thrun and like a Surrak, the 5/4 hasty dude if you have 8 power with Ferocious, or like a Vengevine, is pretty minimal. It's just you want that density of effect. So if they're close enough to that, and you're just packing on heat every draw step. You're just drawing things that just kill people. That's kind of the philosophy. Get your mana set. Don't draw any more lands. Just draw gas because you have all these 4s and 5s and drops in your deck, and you're casting on turn 3 and 4. That's kind of medium philosophy, just in a nutshell, anyways. Right? Is you deliver the pain train off the top deck after establishing rapid mana development, acceleration.
We were all wrong about the 2-drop in hand. It was Elvish Warrior.
Okay. Well, it's actually the exact same card with different nameology. Is Nissa's Chosen? It looked like Nissa's Chosen to me for whatever reason. I think Nissa's Chosen is
Nissa's Chosen goes to the deck if it dies. I think it has.
I don't. It could be, but I'm like 90% positive. It's like there's a really bad Nissa Planeswalker, like Nissa de Revenue. It was like made then. It was like made. That was the first Nissa, I think.
Yeah,
that
Nissa Ravane, the Nissa's Chosen. Yeah. The joke is that if your Nissa's Chosen die, they go back to the library, so you can find them with Nissa again.
Very powerful game interaction. I think it just took Block by surprise. No, it didn't. Nope, not true. But yeah, again, it's like one of those 2/3s.
So wasn't Jace the Mind Sculptor in the same block?
It could have been.
Yeah, this was an original Zendikar.
Yeah. So Burst Lightning here, like I honestly think like I may have saved that just to like try to kill them. I guess they're trying to like pump up their Drake. I mean, it's still a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, I do think Izzet skipped through their turn because they didn't activate Karn or cast the 4-drop in their hand.
Yeah, we were in the middle of the Nissa's Chosen argument. I missed that, but yeah, it's not generally a great thing to do. I do find it a bit curious that they didn't opt to just Izzet Charm that birds to pass through 7 damage and also keep their prowess 2/1 around. Because it would have become 1 of 5
Vengeance. Wow.
Yeah. It's definitely got some elements of both like Stompy and medium green. Like,
yeah.
But I'm having a real tough time seeing how they get out of this at this point.
Yep,
Flyers tend to be issues. I mean, they're going to have to replay the bug, the spider.
Yep, and I think it's still 1. Oh no, it's a 6/4, so this will be perfect to kill this Crackling Jake here.
But unfortunately, it's a cast.
It's going to put it right back into hand.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a cast, so it's not an alternate cost where yeah.
And this is also going to flip the Thing in the Ice, which is just going to be lethal on the following turn.
Is it because they lose 2 of their attackers, right? It puts back their creatures too.
Oh,
I mean, that's like a great place to be because like you gotta replay all that stuff. But I mean, like you're drawing a card off it with the Drake. Maybe if there's another spell in the bin, you get it. I mean, it's a beating. Don't get me wrong. Like, but I don't think you're per se like dead there. All right, so this is a blue-red hand that I think can go wrong. Like, depending on the start. Although the mono green hand is pretty medium too.
Oh yeah.
No mana acceleration. They've got a 2, they've got a 3, and they got Gigantosaurus, which is I love that card. It's not good, but I love it. I just look at that dude. He just buzz. Just after it. He's getting after it.
Now we see the Colonian Tusker in hand.
Yeah. There's a 3/2. Or is she a 3/3? That thing's a 3/3, 3/2. I forget.
It's a 3/3.
Yeah, there's one that's Garrick's Companion is one I think of that has 3/2 trample for double green. I got so many of those type of cards.
There's Terrain Elemental, which is 1 in the green for a 3/2.
So I think the best draw for the green deck here for Isaac was land, but that's a 2-drop, so I'm sure they'll take it. Yeah.
These hands are quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, the one thing you don't want to have happen on blue-red is get glutted at 3. It's one of the things that I found like when I was, I've been building around with them is like choosing your 3s is really important because it's a deck that wants to be double spelling pretty habitually.
Yeah, and here we see one of the downfalls, like you said, of playing tap lands in your deck is if this was just an island, he would have been able to hold up Spell Snare or Mental Note.
I think Snare was a draw for this turn, or am I mistaken on that?
Oh, that could be possible.
Yeah, I think it was a draw for this turn. I think they drew that plus land over the last couple of turns. It's certainly unfortunate. This is kind of fortunate though, because this Merfolk Trickster is now just going to blank their turn.
Yeah, nice tempo swing there.
It is. I mean, I think honestly, what I like doing here is just swing with a 3/3. They don't have red mana up, so they're probably not going to burn it off. But if they flash something in to do something to it or bounce it, I can replay it and then play my other 2-drop. Second main over playing the Splitter. I kind of like playing Splitter if it's my only play. Splitter's a fine card, but I think over time you want to represent more damage.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think Isaac just wanted to get in a quick shot here while he could.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they could have just been fearful of a counterspell, literal counterspell. But I still like attacking first if it's if they do something less effectual, like bounce it or whatever. You can replay it. And you're kind of eating up that tempo because what the biggest beating is you do all this and then they cast Vapor Snag on your idiot and you're like, oh Jesus. I just completely demolish myself by playing this Bone Splitter and getting Vapor Snagged into the dirt.
Yeah.
Which is a card that I think is very realistic that could be in Zannty's deck. Matter of fact, I play that card in my versions of the deck. So I think it's great for that style of deck specifically. But
did you say an Insanity deck? Insanity's deck? Or we haven't. Insanity hasn't played in these tournaments for a bit now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zannty. I'm sorry, I'm saying Zannty. I don't know why.
No, that's fine. I have a friend. They have a friend that goes by Insanity on Discord, and I play he, Zannty, and I often play games together. We were actually on stream playing Sea of Thieves yesterday, so it was okay, this is confusing now.
My apologies. So, it's gonna be really draw dependent on what they do here. I mean, there's a good chance that they just end up getting out this Enigma Drake and using it to block one of these things. Their draw was just land. If you're gonna make that line of play, I think you just leave up the option to Mental Note on their turn. Yep. You already get your land drop for the turn. I mean, you get real lucky and find a bolt and just open the entire pathway for it. Mm-hmm. But I think what I like doing is just shipping with everything but the Legion War Boss here.
And
getting
Surfaren with the Bone Splitter in play is kind of spicy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, doing what?
Surfaren with a Bone Splitter in play is kind of spicy.
Yeah. There's also an alternate option, another world where you just swing in with the Conclave, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I don't think you're quite in racing mode yet. Although, one cool thing about Legion... I'm sorry?
Isaac is missing the land drops here, which Zannty is for sure have noticed by now.
Yeah, which they're going to, if they get a land drop, they're probably going to cast spells. If they get a 2-drop, it'd be nice because you have this snare. What is interesting about this is like you can actually leave back the so the way the war boss works, like it's the goblin token that it makes that turn needs to attack. I don't know why they wouldn't block there. Am I missing something? I mean, I guess they could be fearful of like a forked bolt. That would be problematic anyways. I mean, that would kill the thing anyways, but they didn't block the 1/1, which I think in general you want to block.
If they block with the Colonial Tusker and there's an arc trail, this is...
Well, the Colonial Tusker was tapped last turn, so it attacked. It was only 2 back. Yeah, so I mean, it's like, I don't really know what it plays around at that point. I mean, like, yeah, that would be a blowout if you get arc trailed off of, if they kill your two toughness thing and then your other thing has 1 toughness left after blocks, but you attack with all here. I forget what this card is. You pay mana to make it bigger. Is that what it does?
No, Surfer, and when it attacks, it pumps another creature equal to its power.
Okay. So yeah,
if actually the Bone Splitter had moved before combat, Surfer would have been a 4/2, and this guy would have been a 7/7.
I do believe they have a pump spell hand. They do not. So like they're just going to get kind of owned by this attack. Because the Enigma Drake ended up working out right. They put a Faithless Looting, which is a great thing to mill, and a Deprive, plus the Metal Note in the bin. They get a free block off the non-trampling Tusker, and then like get to eat this 2-drop that they had played before. I guess it does build some equity in their 4/3, the 2/1 that has Revolt and becomes a 4/3. But they're not going to do that. They're just going to play this thing.
But it looks like they can't quite finish off this Enigma Drake here, so that was an interesting play.
Yeah. I think you just play your 4/3 out and just kind of gum the ground up.
There's a problem named True Name Nemesis in Isaac's Future.
Yeah.
I think Isaac may have thought they could equip the Bone Splitter at instant speed here.
That'd be a great thing to be able to do, but I think you need, what is it, like, there's one boon that does it, like it's a 1-drop, a white 1-drop.
Leonin Shikari.
Yeah, there's Shikari, there's also an enchantment that does it, there's a few things that do it.
There's Sigarda's Haid, which...
yeah,
gives all your equipment flash, and they can equip the thing.
And they equip when they come into play.
So we get our attack in first. True Name is it's not a magic card that's going to be very easy for green to deal with unless they can get some trampling idiots down.
Yeah. Isaac just not being able to draw lands here is really good news for Zannty, and Zannty is just building up an unbeatable board state at this point.
That was kind of the risk with that hand, though. Right? I think we talked like right in the beginning. It's like, this hand has a play on 2, but if it doesn't draw mana, it's going to do damn near nothing. That's it's unfortunate to see, but I think me personally, I don't, and I need to review the deck, but I think that was a mull. But you're playing cards as big as like Gigantosaurus. Is like, I need to make 5 green mana symbols. So I'm gonna need to have more consistency in my mana. With a 5 and 2 4s in the opener plus a 3, like, 1 castable off natural progression,
Yeah.
Definitely not the worst, but it's a little risky. All right,
here
so
we see the third land here.
Yep. And I mean, there are certainly cards in the game of Magic that can still unwin this. I mean, they're OPs at 13. I mean, like, they could be a pump spell, berserk away from just, knocking them out. Obviously, attacks are pretty awkward in a True Name Nemesis with a bunch of ground pounders. They're not great.
Isaac not actually having Berserk in the list.
Yeah. Okay.
But just seems incorrect.
Yeah, I mean, it's and some of it too could be like a departure from standard building on it. I mean, like, getting to look at some different ways of building these decks and playing them. I think can just give you further insight. Although I don't disagree with you. I think Berserk is just so gosh darn good, especially if you're playing Gigantosaurus and whatnot. But like, you just want to have it. Anything that gives trample is really good when you have like, generally pretty cheap things that are really friggin' big.
Yeah, I think the inclusion of Unnatural Predation over Berserk is not the greatest.
Yeah. That's something to go back to the board on. I think they're in some pretty big trouble here, though. I mean, we're looking at, a 2-turn clock? Yeah, this is 6. Unblockable. I guess it's not unblockable. You can block with this thing.
Yeah.
And the thing gets eaten. Yeah, I don't think you have to think that hard about that block. You just do it. I think you do block with the troll, though the troll has hexproof, so I mean, unless they have like a literal pump spell in their tempo deck, which is possible, but it's not likely. I mean, it's not a blitz deck; it's tempo deck, so you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily know that going in, right?
From what I've seen, like
you might have figured it out by now, but
Merfolk Trickster, yeah, I'm like, you're not playing pump spells, you're playing Merfolk Trickster. That's a card that plays, more on the defensive end than it does on the offensive end. And if you're going with like built to smashes and infuriates, like you're probably not playing that card. You'd probably rather be on more, cheap prowess creatures. We haven't seen 0 1-drops, right? And my guess would be if you go through their deck, and I haven't looked at it, is like they probably don't have a lot of 1-drops. Is probably like a Grim Lavamancer. They may have like
they're on like Swift Spear for sure. I think they're on there, but
yeah.
I think in that deck specifically, like I've tended to cut Swift Spear. The one that I still kind of like, although it's a little more fringe, is the Soulscar Mage. I think that card's in that style of deck is a little better because it plays defense a little better than Swift Spear does.
Yeah.
Especially in combination with your burn spells. That's a pump spell there. So could see a thing happen.
Isaac's trying to trade for some creatures here to be able to cast this Revolt in hand, or just using this Praise Vengeance to save this troll aesthetic.
Oh, wow, just let it go.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, they're not casting a spell if they're regenerating it, right? I mean, they're casting a pump spell, the one they cast. So they get this thing down. This is going to be bad news bears because this card's been kind of stranded, and it's a card you could have possibly guessed. At this point, if I'm on Isaac's side, I'm guessing they're either on lands, they're on burn, which they haven't had to really use yet because the creatures that they presented haven't been like necessary to kill, or something like this, like a conditional counter spell. And this is not one that you really want to be hit with. This is going to be game ending.
Yep.
Just no out to it. So, good game to both players. Yep, they're going to cast some spells and some things. Some rebound.
Perform game actions.
Yep. Hey, I can appreciate it when you show up to play a game. You do you on it. If you want to play your spells, play your damn spells. For any legal target. So, unless... Balix, I don't know if you have a recommendation for what we view next. If the game is still going on, I kind of want to check out Necro's game. I know we will not be able to get hand cams for it. That's kind of why I want to take the opportunity to look at it now, because I know, like, historically, folks who don't have access to like the ability to showcase their hand, they're going to be less likely to get showcased match-wise. So as a secondary viewing experience, if you're cool with that, that'd be kind of cool. And Red Mage, same thing, man.
I don't see that match still going. So
okay, it may have ended by now.
I think that we might be out of luck there.
That's fine. I assume there's some other games going, because that was just it. That was a 2-0. So
yeah, so we have a shiny new Match the Sleeps channel, so we have check which games are still going pretty easily. So value. So Arakasi is ended. The Brahms has ended. Necro just ended. So I think we only have one game going. One game still going, actually.
And it looks like that person is typing in the match reporting right now.
Yeah. I was curious to see Necro. I know Necro's on Esper Oracle. Actually, it's my build of the deck, but I kind of want to see how the deck ended up faring today. I don't know how much practice they were able to get in with it, but it's a deck that I was talking about with Arakasi the other day. And whatnot.
It went well for her in round 1. She got the win.
Yeah. Looks like it took it down. I was just curious more so to see how it plays. I mean, like, yeah. All right, PalaceJailer with a Blahguy. What's Jailer on today?
Let's take a look here. He was on Soul Sisters yesterday.
Oh, that would be a challenging matchup for Black Red Aggro.
Yeah.
He's on looks like Green Red Blitz.
Okay. That's also a strong deck. Haven't seen as much of it recently. Played in one of the leagues that I think Croc64 runs online a while back, like over a year ago. Fine deck. I think it was more popular then. I think folks kind of just shied away from it and gone back to just playing red.
Mm-hmm.
So Red Mage, just to verify, are all of the matches complete at this point?
Yeah, we're posting. In fact, I just posted round 2.
Sweet. All right. Well.
All right.
Anyone you'd like to see play out, Balix?
It's a little awkward because all the
that's
three top
unfortunate.
matches.
Well, I mean, if you want to check out some Esper Oracle versus.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Zannty was going to want to draw their blue spells in this matchup. I think they want to draw play early pressure and play a bunch of blue spells.
Mhm.
Kill them quick, stop what's important. And frankly, the Oracle build that Necro's got, it can win a long, drawn-out control battle, but it's definitely engineered to kill people with Oracle.
Yeah.
It's a Time Vault deck, essentially. It's not literally a Time Vault deck, but it's a Time Vault deck.
Yeah.
So let's check that one out.
And again, this is definitely a matchup
because
where
we weren't very clear about what's happening. All over 3 top tables that feature the people that have 3 points, all feature a player that we can't show hand cams for. And
if it was that big of a deal, we could also just break the pairings are all.
I think I would rather watch a top player rather than watch.
What I meant more so was that you could right now the stats these are all just undefeated players, right? So you could just just change who plays who. But I have no issues commentating on no hand cam. I think it's fine.
No, I think it's fine. It's just it is
great.
It's a little awkward that literally all 3 matches, but it gives us the possibility, gives us a chance to feature a player that we don't get to feature as much. So that's that part I'm happy with. So yeah, we're actually good. So let's go to the match.
All right,
underway.
Nice.
Alrighty. Well, this honestly is kind of an awkward hand for Zannty.
Yeah.
Hand does not have a source of damage. It's got a lot of interaction. The problem is it's going to come down, I think, to mana dev. And if you're not presenting pressure in the part of the game when the more controlling deck, all right, what are they doing here? They're icing their land. Yeah, I kind of like saving that actually. I think because right now it's not like they're gonna. They could have like a 2-mana counter spell up, but you don't have a threat that you really need to resolve.
I think Zannty just really wants to draw.
That could be true. Yeah, that could be true. I think the argument that I have in my head though is just do it EOT because it's a control deck and they're primarily, unless they're trying to win, which they need 3 mana at a minimum to do with a very optimal hand. They're probably not going to win this turn. There's no fast mana in the deck. Metal Misstep's a good draw though. That does stop the Demonic Consultation. Brainstorm, which either belies Desperation, which hopefully that's not the case because it doesn't like they mulliganed, or Fetch Land, but no Fetch Land, just a tapped land. Which I don't, there's more mana. But again, red mana is not really the constraint here. What are you going to do, burn their face?
Yeah.
I did not see that they had that card.
Oh, yeah. They just got that hiding out in the corner.
Okay, yeah, that just wasn't in their hand cam. I was like, okay, they have a threat. That's good. That is a thing. They're going to force a will this. And I actually like force a willing this. Yeah.
Necro really...
I think you fight over this. Yeah, I think you fight over this. Because, I mean, you're going to be up on cards anyways. You're drawing this next turn, so you're up on cards. You're down a little bit on mana, but I think the mana is not going to be an issue for this build. It's a 36 or 37 land build. All right, another tapped land. Mana's turned out to be a bit awkward. They're debating what they want to do here. They're going to duress.
Probably mental
either way.
Right?
Yeah, I would take mental misstep more than likely out of this hand.
No, you probably mental misstep the duress.
You could. Honestly, their hand's all fairly replacement level once they hit their next blue source. I mean, Deprive first, Memory Lapse. And the burn spells kind of suck in this matchup until you're trying to kill them, which they really need to be supported by a threat, or a threat needs to be supported by them as far as turning into clock. That's a preordained though, so that's going to allow them to probably find it. They're probably going to look for their blue source and a threat. The question becomes if they find the ideal, which is threat plus blue source, how do they stack them? Yeah. I think, me personally, I put a threat on board. Knowing the deck that Necro's playing, that deck has a lot of ways to deal with the board. It's a damnation deck, so, All right, and they found a threat. Obviously, we don't have the game log up, so I can't tell what they did with the other card. My guess would be bottomed it. Because I think, again, they're looking for another blue source here.
Yeah.
But it's a flash threat. It can also work as a card engine. And the tough thing is going to be for Zannty here is like, do you just play that out to just start chipping? Or do you wait until you can play that card and activate it at the same turn, EOT, to force kind of like a counter spell to, you know, stop the cycle off of it, to stop it from being a Whispers of the Muse plus Flying Men, essentially. So we're gonna cast a spell main here. This is horrible for them.
Ooh,
I mean, they can double burn it. They can double burn it, but they have to do it all on their turn, which is just rough. So they can burn up 2 of their burn spells to kill this Teferi, and basically tie up their turn. I guess it's like, yeah, if they don't draw the land here, like, it's real rough because they can't then flash out this card. That's not what you want to see.
Oh, there's another burn spell, so I got a little replacement for that.
Yeah. I mean, at a minimum, that 1-mana burn spell does allow them to cast out the Spectral Sailor on their opponent's turn. So it's, you know, it's, yeah. It was like, that was not great, but it's not a land, I guess is my point. But it's better than, you know, drawing a card that you just can't use yet. Yeah. So that means you have to tap out with all your burn. All right, there's a fetch. They're not at island count yet. That's relevant is because this is a Mystic Sanctuary deck. Not that there's anything like really great in their bin. They likely drew that as opposed to keeping it because they played a lot of tap lands that were conditional tap lands based on islands, and they had a brainstorm. So my guess would be that was the draw for the turn. Down to 3 cards. Going to be looking for a way to gain some card advantage here. This feels like a walker of some variety. No, it's a Mystical Teachings. Now things are going to get a little more dicey. Mystical Teachings is a card that can win this game in a couple ways. In a couple ways, depending on what their hand is. They got Demonic Consultation, which to me that's saying that they possibly already have the Oracle, which means their OP is going to flash this threaded and then like just have to leave mana up for most of the rest of the game. And the reason I say that is because like the card that I tend to think you want to get with Mystical Teachings if you don't have anything in hand other than control cards is Gifts Ungiven. That just gets all of it.
Sorry, Christopher Cool in chat is asking about the general state of Volt deck, of Thassa's Oracle decks, whether they tend to overperform.
Yeah, I mean,
I know that you have opinions on it, so I was...
Yeah, no, I could offer my opinion on it. Like, I think the deck is a better version of Vault, and you're not wrong to say that it's, you know, it's not. It has free rolls a lot of points. The issue at the end of the day, though, Chris, is that right now there's not as much Magic being played, so the numbers really aren't there to support it. Me, on a theoretical basis, and as a person who's played Magic for like 20 plus years, like I feel pretty comfortable saying that like there needs to be a significant amount of points added to this deck. That said, like, you know, the numbers aren't there to support it. So, like, I was talking to a couple of the players. Matter of fact, one of the players currently in the tournament, Arakasi, you know, about something that I was kind of actually pretty, you know, vocal about 3 months ago, and how this card interacts and how it plays, you know, and what it, I think, can do if broken in the format, or if attempted to be broken in the format, is be warping. But at the same time, I don't think it's quite on like the level of what Storm was at before. I don't think it's quite there. That deck was just absurd. It was like the most broken deck I've ever played in the format. When it had access to essentially like 2 to 3 extra points. That said, like, yeah, I think something will eventually need to be done. Does it need to be done right now? No. And I mean, if you look through the statistics for this event alone, or like the leagues, like the numbers just aren't there to support it. And some of that's because it's not a high, like a highbrow event where like there's a huge, like, you know, there's not a big reward for like winning all of these. I mean, it's bragging rights, right? So, you know, that's not really an issue, and folks will play with it if they find fun.
We do have prize support for this season, actually. So like that is a thing. Like,
yeah, but it's not like it's not real. Like, yeah, I'm not like talking like
it's not something
$1,000 or
like,
$2,000 or something, you know. Yeah.
It's not something that is gonna like put. Like, it puts a little bit of interest into the whole thing of being like, oh yeah, okay,
but
let's
I think you know what I mean,
let's try it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So the big thing this turn is that like the Oracle is castable with a 2-mana counterspell plus the DC. So they can only cast 1 counterspell this turn because they have essentially 3 blue mana worth of counterspell in hand and only 2 mana on board. So my guess would be what Necro's got going on right here is they likely have a negate or something along those lines. I don't think they would just jam into a bunch of open mana. There's the Memory Lapse. And, you know, they're going to DC here. I guess they could also, like, DC for a counter spell. I don't know why the DC's happening here. You just probably wait on this and just counter this spell and just see what happens.
What are you insulting for?
Well, the thing is, too, like, you can DC down to, like, 0 cards, this puts the Oracle on top, which means if you resolve the Oracle next turn, you still win, right?
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So there's that, but I mean, like, I don't think you need to make that.
That's the line she took.
And if she doesn't have another counterspell here, she's just going to lose
Well,
to 5.
Well, sure, but like it could also be a 3-mana counterspell, and this does reduce the mana requirements. And my guess would be they have multiple counterspells; they're just limited on mana, so they're going to counter this. And when their OP doesn't counter it, they'll win the game. But if they do counter it, then they're down to 0 cards. And they're off their top deck, you know. So yeah, all right, that's game. Yeah. So I don't mind the play. I just think you DC after you counter their spell just to see what they do. You know, there are lines where you don't want to have already DC'd, but again, very powerful decks. I hopefully, Chris, and I haven't seen it. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, it's cheapest A plus B, like just mana wise, but really it comes down to points, in my opinion. It's point equity. You get a lot of virtual point equity in the deck because you're basically playing Time Vault without the 7-point card in the deck.
The thing that Time Vault does have going for it is that you have more cards that combo with Time Vault than the cards that combo with Oracle, but getting free roll.
You know what? I'm gonna stop you on that one. I'm gonna stop you on that one because like I thought the same thing initially. I can walk you through the deck at some point how I want to do it on stream, but I've done actually a decent bit of work trying to understand this archetype. I haven't like per se like broken one specific build of it, but like I've studied it in a lot of different like shells. I don't think that's true, and I think the benefit you gain. I think the biggest benefit you get in Time Vault is the fact that you can play like Academy runes, like it's really easy to recurse the components of it. But frankly, even that argument kind of falls short depending on how you end up building Oracle combo, because there's very good bug versions of the deck, in my opinion, that run Survival of the Fittest and like basically just like reanimate loop this fucker until like you lose the game or the opponent loses the game. So, anyways, like it's very good. I just don't think it's been broken, but I think it is very highly able to be broken. And I think this build that running.
The point I was trying to make was also that, like, yeah, okay, maybe like we can quibble on like what makes like Time Vault better, whether it was made Oracle better. But the fact that they're comparable at all and Time Vault is 7 points means that probably there should be
yeah, on a theoretical level, that's it. I mean, it sounds like, just from like I don't know how much you keep up on the Discord, but I was talking to I was asking a lot of questions and talking with some folks the other night. And actually Robin was in there, Robin Sorensen was in there, Ben jumped in for a bit. There's just not a lot of numbers and as much Magic being played right now, right? I mean, it's a world crisis. Yeah. I mean, like, so I've kind of laid off of it, but like when someone else brought it up, Arakasi brought it up, I was like, hey, I actually haven't heard anyone jump in on this in like over 3 months. And like I had some opinions about it because I don't disagree with Arakasi, but I also, think you need to have a realistic approach to actually having the numbers, the metrics, showing
as much as like you can. I don't think you should ban hard based on the fact that you feel the deck is overpowered. You need data, and it's just really hard to get that data.
Not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but let's look at this hand real fast. So no red mana, which is really not that big of a deal, but you do have a lot of red cards that are kind of irrelevant. The one big thing that Zannty's got is this is back to basics. The problem is going to be defending it, right? And it's gone. Yeah, and it's gone. So it's gone. That was the most relevant card in their hand. Now, obviously, because you're playing Tainted Pact, you can only have one copy of each card. You don't have to, but like it's advised because then it doesn't win you the game with your Oracle combo. So the deck that Necro's running, to my own horns, it's my build. Like they're borrowing my cards and my deck, right? So which is cool. But it only has 4 basics in it, right? So those style of cards can be very problematic. It's basically a 2.5 color deck that runs, very few basics.
And here we see Zannty with 0 castable cards in hand until this mountain comes out the top here.
I can understand the allure of it, though. I mean, they had access to the Ponder, which is going to help you develop the resources you need, ideally. I mean, sometimes you get unlucky and you see 4, and let them do what you need. But this Goblin Guy is not a horrible draw. If they can get their mana on track, they could possibly get somewhere. The fact that their OP's Thoughtseize, their OP's got to be feeling in a really good spot because, like, they can look at their hand. They're like, your hand doesn't do anything, like right as of right now. And like, I think they can pretty much tap out with impunity. And that's not the most impactful card immediately, but if they're given time, which it appears, unless there's a mountain draw on this turn, time will be given. You can.
There's another uncastable card.
Yeah, but with one more land, it's castable. It's not a fast clock, though, and the problem against like this Oracle deck is that like incremental advantage and damage really doesn't matter. Like quote unquote, you win out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, cool. That was kind of my argument a while back, and I think theoretically it's a pretty good argument in terms of like assessing how powerful the deck is. There are a lot of tutors for Time Vault, but I think if you wanted to play a very good combo kind of control deck, this is probably the way to go. Now, how you do that, I think, is still up in the air. I like this Esper deck, this Esper build of it, but I also think the bug build is really good. And I've also built some more radical variants of the deck. And also, like, if someone's been working on this deck and is in chat, or hell, is even in commentary team right now, let me know, because I've been kind of like, I haven't been playing as much Magic over the last month and a half. I've just started playing, I wouldn't say regularly, but like 10 games a week or whatever this last week. And some of them were with Necro to get some reps in with the deck they're currently on. So that's
just not getting the draws they want here. More and more uncastable cards.
Yeah, just bricking off. Now, I do think that Necro kind of made a misplay there. I think you saved that duress. Your opponent's hand's garbage. Like, you wait and save it until the critical turn when you want to resolve your combo, so you can get rid of any counter spell they may have. If they don't have a land drop this turn, I think you wanted to draw that card. They have the land drop. Mana is really important to this deck. They also have Cling to Dust. They have access to Cling to Dust now, which is not irrelevant. It's a pretty powerful effect. And with an active Search for Isganta, all right, that's depending on what their hand looks like, that's going to get gifts. If it has nothing, if it just has a bunch of control cards. I do think you should do this on your OP's upkeep, though. Pre-draw step, but you do it on their upkeep just in case, whatever. You duress last turn.
See the Demonic Consultation, meaning that Aggro probably has the win in hand.
Yeah, they're saying they got it. But again, that's why you save that duress. I guess you're short of black mana at this point to do it if you're trying to DC the same turn. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this one's going to come to a pretty quick and tidy finish.
More uncastable cards, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, not in context to your comment, but I'm reading the text over the commentary in the comment section of this. I don't know if that's per se true. I think red and Time Vault. The way you want to play Time Vault versus red is you want to be 2 ships passing in the night. You just want to do your thing as fast as you can, which you don't always have access to. But I don't know if it's that horrible. I'd say probably
it's horrible. I wouldn't say it's horrible.
60-40, 60-40 maybe. Maybe 45-55.
Is still not good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot better than Sui Black versus red deck wins or something like that. Sui versus White Weenie. You're just okay, game over.
It's horrible. You're still humble. You can outrace them, but you're not.
Just 1 second. This game's over, guys. So we're gonna see this Find Oracle. And this is one of the I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think this is an important thing to commentate on this game. You see cards like Wishclaw Talisman, which is not a card that typically you would see in these blue X combo control decks that are playing Vault. But because you have so many free points, you're able to play it kind of just another free tutor. And the Cobweb, and we were saying, the artifacts kind of work well together. But the fact that you have more points and most of these points are tied up in tutors really just increases the consistency of finding this one combo. It's kind of what one of my findings was, just to kind of answer an earlier question without getting really in depth about what that network of different tutor effects looks like comparatively to Time Vault. Because that's one of the things I did is kind of try to do the cross look at how the network of tutors in this build with the 7 extra points looks vice a Time Vault deck that has some very powerful unpointed tutors, kind of Whir of Invention, Fabricate, etc. That were kind of relevant to that archetype. So yeah. That's the big thing, Chris. Is and really what's crazy about it, and I was talking to Arakasi about, is the flexibility with which you can actually build the deck is very high because of that volume of points, and because the pointed cards are no shit powerful, right? So you can play a survival of the fittest build of the deck, and it's actually really good. And having fast mana and comboing fast is really good. So there's just a lot going on, and plus having green tutors, green creature tutors are really good. I think they're really I don't know if they're underrated, but I don't think people think of them as being good blue X combo cards. But having Eldritch Evolution just to find your Oracle, is pretty sick, right? So yeah.
For what it's
or Neo form.
For what it's worth, I am currently playing Wishclaw Talisman in Time Vault.
No, and that's fine. My point is you don't tend to see it in all of them.
No,
and
no.
The fact
you're kind of point. My current point loadout is Vault, Gifts, and Claw. I think that the last point could be a Dig Through Time, and that would be perfectly reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, Vault builds vary a lot. I mean, some people play mana vault in that deck just to have like high roll draws right against the fast decks.
What do we want to watch for the remainder?
Let's check out some fair magic. We just checked out a little bit of kind of combo-y blue, kind of dirtily, like the combo bullshit, quote unquote.
You want to see some red deck queens? Because
sure, let's do that. Yeah, or we could do Baylight if they're still active. Baylight generally tends to have some really interactive long games.
Baylight didn't
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, unfortunate.
I think let's do this.
Yeah.
Oh, Wolf is on Jeskai?
Wolfgang. So Wolfgang has a bigger range than I think a lot of folks give them credit for. I played them a bit, not recently, but I played them a bit historically. The one thing I will say about Wolf is they always tend to be on an aggressive deck of some variety. They're definitely they like playing aggressive strategies. That said, they're not always on a red deck. This appears to be some variety of tempo.
I think this might be just red deck rehold. I think I might.
Yeah, this is Wolfgang's signature mono red splashing basic island.
Fair enough. That's fine too. I wouldn't even fault them for playing Treasure Cruise, although that may be a little bit ambitious, especially minus cantrips. But
yeah, last time we saw this deck in action, there were some pretty ambitious includes, namely Vaudric, Apex of Thunder.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, what the hell is that?
Red deck Ronan.
No, I'll say this though, I don't think Boros tends to be the best of decks. A lot of damage in hand. That said, though, I do think Boros does have some key advantages versus just a red strategy.
I don't
know if the extra... Yeah, effects like that. Just better creatures. White creatures are just better than red creatures. In combat, they are much better at fighting other creatures. You play red for the flexibility of burn, right? It's clock, it's board control, etc. Which white doesn't have, but their creatures are just way better. They have first strike, they fly, they're have bigger bodies. They're just better in fighting. They're slower because you don't have burn to kind of augment them, but when you have both kind of going for you, I think in general it's pretty good.
Luca is up a game. The match score is correct. We checked. I checked.
Yeah, I think they're probably advantaged. Although that's a lot of burn. That's a shitload of burn, right? That's essentially 12 damage if you're counting the prowess triggers on the 1/2.
Yeah.
So that's. Depending on their next draw, they've got a lot of burn. They also got a free roll card draw on the board with this Sunbait Canyon. Their OP's hand has a Rock's Faithbender, which is kind of a spooky card. If it gets to do its thing. They just drew a massive burn spell as well. This is Boros is always in a weird spot, right? You got Rock's Faithbender and Fiery Confluence in the same hand, which is that's one of the reasons I don't like playing Boros. I just feel it gets into a lot of really weird dead end draws where the mana doesn't work out and the threats are just more of the same.
This is not the first time. Luca has been kind of trying also some weird decks because he's been really on a band of really making sure that he has good matchups against mono red. So he's been playing an Aya Life game deck. It's possible that some of the concessions, the Rock's Fate Manders, were made in this Boros Midrange tokens. Sure, let's go with that deck to make sure that that sort of thing is conserved.
So I think here I kind of just this is an interesting spot. The Andres Roberts is a powerful card. It's going to give you a card advantage. What they don't know is it can be dealt with. They can make this Faithbender into a 0, a negative something 1 and kill it with the Fire Blast. Fire Blast, it's very rare that Fire Blast is most aptly used as a removal spell.
Yeah, the Fire Blast goes downstairs. Not the most.
Yeah, it's just it generally doesn't work out. Sometimes you got to do it. They're gonna wait on it. I have to reread Soulscar Mage, so I'm pretty sure it's any damage. I'm pretty sure it's only your spells. Only your spells. I'm sorry. So the Fiery Confluence will not shrink the OP's, bigger booty cards.
Yeah.
So it could sweep because it can do up to 3 to the board, which wouldn't per se be horrible. If I'm on Luca's side, I really don't want my OP to be drawing more cards with Andres Ravager. So I guess we'll see. Okay, yep, that kind of makes sense to me too.
and then they can just gain 2 here. And
now what's interesting, yeah, but what was interesting, like, do you burn this thing off? Because they're going to gain 2 off this, and your opportunity cost on dealing with it later is going to be higher. Obviously, it's not 5 toughness, and it's obviously not going to get shrunk anymore via the Soul Scar Mage. So, yeah, I can see not doing it. But I think, yeah, tough spot. I think I would have tried to attack with the Soul Scar Mage and just see what happened. Try to eat that thing in combat. Because if that card was already gone, like the incentivization on like doing a sweeper like that's a lot lower. Those are some draws.
Answering Chris's question here. The Boros deck is on 8 out of 10 points with Mox, and Jit.
Yeah. Although my guess would be it's probably correct, unless you're really like just trying to really just get red to play Price of Progress as well.
Yeah.
Be my guess. Huh. My guesses are probably also on Stoneforge. Now it's 0 points. What if I like Batterskull? They go as big as Batterskull because they're on Rock's Faithmender, which is like really like not a card I would have expected in Boros unless you're like really just you want to beat this matchup.
Yeah. No Batterskull.
Yeah. That's not a shocker to me. It's a 5-mana card. And, like you don't really want to get it in your hands. You just want to find it with Stoneforge.
Interesting. There's no Stoneforge either for the Jit here.
That one's a little more questionable, I think. But yeah.
I think Luca last Chris, time we saw Luca playing these kind of life gain strategies, they went really deep on the life gain side of things, and I think we're seeing again here.
Yeah, that's so. Like one of the things, I mean, like I'm not opposed to playing like 70-30 decks, but when you dilute red deck wins like this into Boros, you definitely increase equity in like the aggressive mirrors like this. What I don't care for about it is like if someone just brings like a Time Vault deck, you're kind of just like in a lot of trouble, right? Because I mean they just combo you out, or like just a regular mid-range deck like 4-color blood,
Yeah,
you can kind of get caught out.
Yeah, I think Edlo has just not worried about that. He's seen a bunch of red decks and he wants to beat those.
That's fair. That's fair, right?
His plan is if I face Volt, I'm just gonna lose. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not unfair. So, Chris, to answer your question about Mana Vault, I don't know that that's of the most benefit. I mean, like, if you're playing a bunch of 5-drops, like, then Vault becomes more appealing as a card in, like, mid-range, but, like, then you're, there are varieties of mid-range that want to have that, like, your monocolored mid-range decks. The issue that you tend to run into with, like, the 2, 3, and 4-color, like, mid-range builds is that they're very color-intensive on their cards, and it tends to be, like, less pip-intensive, but pip spread, so, like, you're not going to see a lot of double reds, a lot of double whites. Sometimes the first time you'll see that's at turn 4, like your Gideons and your Chandras. And you don't per se have as many great uses for that much colorless mana. So like unless you're playing like a bunch of Scarab Gods and whatnot, there's not as much. It's like a great payoff, with Mana Vault and those style of decks. And then oftentimes like when you're playing multicolored, mid-range decks, you just have enough you have enough density of cheaper cards that are just almost as of high a quality, but with much higher consistency in your draws, that it just doesn't tend to be worth putting the point into it. I just think in general, like talking this deck specifically, like I don't think Vault really per se helps it. If you just had nothing to put in, you don't put it in. But I mean, like I think they had more cards they could have put in over it. Now, just like talking Price of Progress, like that card just even here in this like I guess what is essentially a red deck, it's 4 damage for 2 mana for 1 card, which is not bad. Everyone's got non-basics, so. All right, your Shaker Keenra gets in there. It's basically a Delta 2. Mana Tide not looking great. I don't know how much I like taking the damage there off the land. I think every point's going to count. I don't really per se know what benefit you get from having an extra land in play outside of just keeping the card in hand. I don't know if anyone else has an opposing opinion on that.
I think keeping the land in hand is probably better in this situation.
Yeah, it's the one life, as well. It's like, why lose the extra life? Like, you're playing against red deck. They haven't been doing much for a while, which could mean they have goose eggs or means they have, like, a very close to lethal load of burn spells in hand.
Yep. This Mana Tide could potentially shut down this Fire Blast.
If it gets hard cast, but Wolfgang's a really solid player. Like, it's possible. It's not impossible. But I think in general, like Wolfgang, again, like if they wanted to use this card to trade on board, they would have already done so. They're just going to look to finish with it. And if you're using it to finish, you play around everything because you sack your lands, right? Because like you're not looking to play further than that, you know?
Of course, yeah.
I think, you know, so. And my guess is going to be that's 8 damage, right? So if this does not get blocked, they have lethal. I think I wait to do the second man. I think I attack first and see what they do. They're not going to attack first. Okay.
Interesting.
Unless I'm doing the math wrong. That's 8. That's 12 damage. That was 12 damage in hand.
And now the Burst Lightning turns into a shock because of the Harsh Mentor cast.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so the argument for casting it before combat is that you give your opponent an idea of, oh, I have a 3/3, they just cast a 2/2, I'm going to hold on to my 3/3 so they can block their 2/2 rather than champ block. But
yeah. I think I just like attack it and just leave my mana open, and if they take it, just kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least allow them to make the mistake. Like that's kind of my philosophy. It's like allow them to make the mistake. I don't see like how they can exploit. I don't see what it gains you to play this Harsh Mentor first. I mean, like what are you playing around in hand at this point? It's not removal because they probably would have used it by this point. I don't know. Interesting.
Maybe they want to hardcast the Fire Blast.
No, I just maybe they do. I don't think that's right, but maybe they do. It's possible. Huh.
Yeah, I think Wolfgang was in a pretty good position to potentially win the game last turn with the attack first. But
yeah, I think you just allow them to make the mistake. Yeah, just allow them to make the mistake. You know, just get in there. If they block it, which they should at that point, you know, they do, and then you just play your thing, and then you have another blocker, and they have one less threat on the board.
Yeah.
And if
and
they
you don't need to spend the Burst Lightning on the Renegade Wheelsmith.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning that this Rock's Faith Vendor attack puts Luca back on 9, which is once again out of the 4+4.
So they could get got by Mana Tithe here if they pump team and attack with their Castle Land Breath and then go for the Fire Blast. They'll be tapped out.
I was going for Fire Blast before combat.
It's actually really smart. I like this play. Like they could know they have Mana Tithe in deck. It's a really smart play. Because now they had to just Mana Tithe it there just to force them to tap off of the Castle Embreth, right?
Yeah, probably was correct to be fair. And
it also was kind of compelled, right? Because they have Robber the Rich and they want to get a free card, which in this case is this Elsbeth, is this Johnny. No, the reason it was correct is a Robber. Like that was like the reason they were compelled. I don't think if they don't know about Mana Tithe, like I think in general it's probably wrong to play around it.
No. I think it was correct to Mana Tithe, is what I was trying to say.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I don't know. I think you do because I mean you see that they have this thing that makes their shit bigger. You know, it makes one of what would be a chump block, you know, essentially a trade on the 3/3. You know, so yeah. Or they have 2 things go away and they keep the Rock's Faith Mender if they block like one of the 2 power things. But yeah, I don't even think they bother with the Ajani. I think they just demolish their team.
Yep.
Demolish their team, keep it 2/2 in a 4/4 round. The next turn, I believe they're obliged. No, they're not. No, they are obliged to block the 4/4. Not quite, because they're going to gain 2 here and then 2 again during block step. So yeah, okay. Land cannot be what they were hoping to find here.
Wait, that plains is not snow covered. What's going on here?
I mean, snow covers are a little more money on Magic Online. They could have them split. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're playing around Helldozer. I don't freaking know.
They might be playing around Predict.
Yeah, if you don't have any snow covered synergies, I think it is technically correct to have a split.
Sure. You play around like Predict. I don't think there's one that's not on Magic Online that has a similar effect. They get in with both. Seems good. Block. Probably just put them. I mean, they know they're going up to 7, so they can only do 5 this turn. They probably just let them go to 3 instead. I wouldn't pump, I don't think, and then play out this Izzet, get a free card, and if you get a bolt, you just win. See what they get. Well, it's a lava runner. You probably just throw that thing down and then kill him next turn. I mean, they can still turn this around, possibly. I mean, if they, like, drew, like, what? Like an Inferno Titan? If they're playing something that big?
Lyra Dawnbringer, Baneslayer Angel kind of thing going on?
That would do it. That would certainly do it. Unless, like, their OP drew into a burn spell and could burn off whatever threat was blocked by that threat. Yeah, that's that one. That one's actually interesting, right?
This might actually save them here.
I don't think it does, actually, but we'll see.
4. Yeah, they'll go to 1. Oh, but the Castle Embereth.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of threats on board. Plus, they're taking damage off the Harsh Mentor, right? With the Castle Embereth. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening here. It's too many threats. So we're gonna get a game 3, which is pretty sweet. Obviously, Luca drew a lot of land that game, but I like I said, I haven't looked at their deck list. I don't know how many lands they are running, if they got unlucky or if they maybe built with too many. But not exactly how you want to run.
30 lands. Wow.
That's less than I play in Red Deck Wins, so they just got unlucky. I should only play 32. I might play a strip mine in my build, but
what do you think of this? What do you think of this
hate medium. I really, it's good in Red Deck Wins mirrors. I really do not like Lava Spike. If you're gonna run Tibalt while you're running Lava Spike, it's just damage to the face. It doesn't have any flexibility. I mean, it hits walkers, I guess. I cannot stand that card in this format. Yeah, they agree that hand's not great. They get that goddamn Lava Spike. You think?
I mean, Luca's main point of their deck is to gain life. I
wouldn't say it's per se true. I mean, if you look at the cards they have, I mean, they have some life gain, but like, yeah, I think Arc Trail is the one that like really holds this hand together for me personally. Just looking at the hand, like Arc Trail is just a beating in this hand. You know, their mana didn't work out in a way that they could go 1-drop into 2-drop, but I'm curious to see. I mean, now they're probably they get the Scry off this card. This is such a weird card.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Yeah, this 3/1, this Blade of the Sea sprite gets like Scry.
I imagine there's quite the vehicle package in this deck.
Yeah, it's certainly possible.
Maybe this is a V-Holtz deck. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think they're probably on like what's the one that makes all the vehicles turn on? Start your engines. I love that card.
Engines.
I love the name of that card. Just like vroom. Well, there's the Ancestral Recall. That's a hell of a card. They're gonna burn off the trail here. Okay.
Ooh, Burrington Forge Tender.
I guess the thing is here, right? Like you have recall. You don't really need to worry about getting card advantage off it. Yeah, Burrington Forge Tender is a fine card. I don't think it does that much. I mean, it safeguards your creatures. The matchup you want to play Burton Vortender against is like the big blue-red deck that has like Clasm effects, electrolyzes, where you can like blank those cards or turn them from like multiple for ones to a 1-for-1. It's just, it doesn't pressure, it doesn't gain you life. It just, kind of can gum up some things. There's the Vortex, which has got to not be what you're hoping to see.
Yeah.
And I like getting it down here. I mean, you've got 6 points of burn in hand, plus 3 additional cards off this recall, which is pretty absurd. That was a good draw, though. If you find your next white source, you can just get rid of this the Sulfuric Vortex, which is pretty good.
Yep.
Although I think here I probably would have resolved my 2-1, just start clocking my OP. Like I just want to kill him. Mm-hmm. Call me greedy, but I don't think the Burton Fortune really does that much. It stops like a haste ground pounder, but like,
Did they not find the land off of the Motorist?
I'm sorry?
Did they not find any land off of the Motorist? They're still stuck on 2.
Well, they are only playing 30 land, so...
Yeah, I mean, I think what we saw last game was an aberration of statistics. Like I mean,
they're playing 32, right? They have 2 Moxen.
Yeah, those aren't lands. I literally play like a Mox, and 32 lands in Red Deck Wins, and it's probably as efficient or more efficient than the deck they're playing. So it's like I've definitely kind of come over from like the gutting Red Deck Wins down to like 27, 28. I just think it's too high rolly. I'd rather cast my spells. That is a Restless Raptor. I love this card. It's a Relentless Raptor. It's a 3/3 with Vigilance that must attack every turn, if I'm not mistaken, for 2
mana. And must block every turn.
Correct. Yes, it has Vigilance, so it will block every turn unless you find a way to tap it with your equipment or your vehicles. That is actually one kind of cool way you can deal with its downside is using it to activate vehicles. It's pretty good at that.
And here comes our Relentless
Raptor.
Yeah, you take your free card there, I think. Oh man, this is not looking too great for the Boros deck right now. They really need to hit some mana there. Maybe they were a little greedy on that scry. I didn't see what they did with the scry. I'm not saying they put him on top. I didn't see that. You know,
Yeah. I mean, if they find another land, they can even Kalsa's Judgment.
Well, it needs to be a land that produces white mana, so it's not just any land; it's a
True.
specific land.
I think it may have even been correct in that situation to not cast the Soldier of the Pantheon to try and flip this Lone Rider.
Lifelink's not going to matter. You're just going to make a bigger thing out of it, right?
You can't gain life.
But even
the Lone Rider can't
Relentless Raptor.
I'm tracking, buddy. I think Balix, if you reread the card, it's not if you don't cast spells. It's not like the old school werewolves. You have to do a different thing than just not cast spells.
You have to gain 3 life in order to.
Oh,
so the Lone Rider can literally not flip as long as
it doesn't. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit rugged. They could use their burn spell to save this card, but honestly, I'd just let it eat one of those two things, and then
it has to
trade
be
it off.
Rider. The burn for
of course,
is inedible.
Yep. Yep. I would save the burn for face. I think here, just let this thing go.
Have a pretty good beatdown going in this situation.
Yep, it's not bad. It's definitely not inconsequential. There's a land. Well, probably just get down the Harsh Mentor this turn. Try to stop any walkers, 3-mana walkers. There's some Gideons that could be problematic. Oh, they have a 3-rate Horseman Cleric. Yeah, that's fair. I guess it flies.
Mm-hmm.
That is an Angelic Accord. Holy shit. That card was like a very fringe, but actually pretty good if it came together deck in that draft format, that core set. It was a really weird deck.
I never got to draft that deck. I was really mad.
I've drafted it once, and I went, I think, 3 or 4-0 with it. It was pretty. I mean, people hated it though. That was the only problem with it. Is like people were just really pissy about it. They never liked
round 2, JP.
So for the record, Luca, I checked. Luca scribed both cards to the bottom with the motorists, so they just
that makes sense. I mean, they just got unlucky, But they're also running 30 lands. They got unlucky in the game prior where they just drew like a bazillion lands in their 30 land deck, and then this game they, just didn't work out, But when that happens, I mean, it can sometimes just be the numbers, the bad luck. But you can also look at it too. There's a lot of 3-drops. There's a 4-drop in that hand over there. Actually, it's all 3 drops and a 4-drop. You probably need more lands, right? Yeah, I think it's probably a thing worth saying, and it's not meant to be mean, but I think it's probably the truth. Is this deck's probably a 33 to 34 land deck. Just looking at the sample hand right now. Got to cast spells. But yeah, this one's kind of over. I don't think there's anything you can draw to get out of this at this point. Oh, actually, there's literally not because the Sulfuric Vortex is going to tick. So
interesting that. Brenton only stops instants and sorceries. That's right.
Oh,
yeah. Nope.
Is the game over? What happened?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's over. That's it. Luca won the first one and then dropped the second 2.
All right.
So I am going to take a quick break, gentlemen. I'll be right back momentarily. Give me about 1 to 2 minutes. All right.
Yep. Whenever you. Yeah, we'll be here for you. We kind of we are halfway through our tournament anyway, which makes it a good time for me to give. Actually, Belix.
Yes.
Change of plans. Why don't you go through all the housekeeping stuff, and I am gonna make the polls ready for next week, so that we can put those in chat as well.
Alrighty. So this is a weekly Canadian Highlander tournament. The 10th point we run on Saturdays and Sundays. This is the Sunday event, which is live streamed. What you are watching right now. Saturday we run at. Let me check the times real quick. Saturdays is a non-streamed event, and both weeks will feed into a end of season qualifier that will be prized. Top 4 players from each will play in a top 8 tournament at the end of the season. And this tournament is run through the Canadian Highlander Discord, !point Discord in the chat to join that. And if you want to play some Magic, we have plenty of Canadian Highlander, powerful Magic, tournament Magic, everything you could want. Come to the Discord and we'll hook you up with some great Magic. And this week, we are halfway through our tournament right now, round 2, heading into round 3.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Just as a reminder to people, if you have your Prime sub, or if you want to, or if you, out of the kindness of your heart, felt like signing up to the oh my god, to the like subscribing on Twitch to us. We really appreciate it. Helps us keep the boat rolling. Helps us keep the prizes going for the end of season. Just putting it out there. So like it would be in the world to us if you could do that, especially if you have a Prime sub. That should go to somebody. Doesn't need to be us. Just give it to somebody. And if it's us, we really appreciate it. And if it's not, Jeff Bezos does not need that money. Just use your Prime sub.
And hey, gentlemen, I'm actually back. Couple things in chat just to address a couple things. Chris, like in regards to Uro, I think Uro is a really powerful card. I think it does certainly have some decks where it's almost a very good card to include. I think the issue is it's 3-drop. That doesn't per se doesn't impact the board directly at all when it first occurs. So I think that kind of limits the range of Uro as a card. I think sometimes the price tag of it and standard and the impact it has on the rotating formats can drive one to think that it should be an auto include. But I guess how I put it, it's less Tarmogoyf and more, let's say like Liliana the Veil, which is also a very expensive card, but actually also has, in my opinion, fairly discrete in a finite number of applications in the format because it's not universally like a card you want to play in every deck that plays black.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then like Arakasi, yeah, I mean that's a fair point. Red Deck Recall is still winning games, but like being fair, like I think a lot of times, you look at how folks try to attack, a Red Deck wins metagame, and I kind of think sometimes we go about it backwards, right? Like I think you think that like life gain, like a card like, for instance, Angelic Accord. Angelic Accord, not a good card. Like it's not a card that I believe has constructed playable applications in Canadian Highlander. It's Mimi, is my opinion on the card, and that doesn't mean I'll be harsh, but when you look to beat Red Deck wins, have good board impact every turn. Present creatures that are undercosted but more powerful than their cards because you're playing more colors than they are, that win in combat, and have good board impacting cards: Lightning Bolt, Searing Spears, Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exiles. Really, if you just look to win the game and interact with their actual board presence, you'll be in a pretty good spot. You'll increase your lose some equity in other matchups, but you'll do pretty good, like, in general.
Yeah, like in general, the thing is that the red decks in this format, the red deck wins in this format are more sly than they are burn. So like interacting on board tends to be more successful just gaining 5 life because their permanent source of damage, their goblin guides, their creatures that attack you for damage are still gonna be there after you gain 5 life. Like that.
I 100% agree. I think if you're looking to beat Red Deck wins, what I would recommend doing? Like if it's a matchup that, like, you want to habitually beat, play it a bunch. Like learn how the deck works, learn how it functions in the format, learn how it functions best in the format in the given metagame, and then like once you understand the deck, like it has some pitfalls, right? It's one of, if not maybe like the best. It's definitely like the deck that if I needed to give to someone who's never played the format and like they really were someone who needed to win to reinforce playing more, that's the deck I give them, because the not to say that there's not a curve, between a beginner on the deck and like an expert on the deck, but I think the results are a little more flat than like something like Oracle Combo or Storm, like where I think more practice has a pretty large, standard deviation from like beginner to expert in deck. Your results will vary a lot more highly. And to some extent, I think when you're an expert on Storm, like it's a better deck than Red Deck wins in some cases. It's more powerful, that's for sure. It can win faster. But yeah. Yeah, that's fair to Arakasi. I mean, it could just be an underpointed deck. That's another piece too. It's like, that's a very long argument about like how you manage Red Deck wins in the format. My thing is this, like, it's systemic, development of the game. And at the end of the day, I don't, develop or design the cards for Wizards of the Coast. And if they've continued to print them in this density, that is a main axis of which they support as being a good way to win the game, right? Or a way that they want to see, promoted throughout the game's history as being a way you can win the game. Obviously, the appeal is there, and at that point, like, you can look to try to manage that. But I think you got to get your book open and you got to start making a lot of changes. I mean, we saw Price of Progress change, and there was some controversy on that. And I'll admit that I was someone who was against it. I don't think on an emotional level, but I think I've got some decent thoughts on why that is. And there's some folks agree with me. End of the day, it is a card that if you are going to point that deck, I think is a good place to start, because it is of a quality that you can basically come back from behind on a deck that's trying to attritionally win through, incremental damage. That said, I don't think it had to be done. I think it's a top deck just by how the game is devved. I mean, I think essentially you're trying to rewrite the history of the game, by essentially, taking away the components of the strategy that have been habitually supported in game development and have never been really said to be just busted. No one's ever really said red decks are bad, but they've continued to be designed and sold and promoted. And I have yet to see anyone who say that like red deck in any format is just so broken, so oppressive that like they were unable to play it. Now, is it format shaping? Yeah, highly, but I don't know. To me, it's like I can't really change that. They're still going to print 2 mana, 3 damage burn spells at instant speed or sorcery speed. So I don't know. That's my take on it. I think it's a lot easier to look at like cards that are just straight up flaws. Like they're just like, this is a mistake. In and of itself, it's a mistake. So I don't know. Same token, you got cards like Oko getting printed. I mean, you put an Oko down on turn 2 against red deck wins, they're going to be in the hurt box. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like that's you look at what all was banned in that time frame when Ramonap Red was a thing. It was a very oppressive deck. That's actually the last time I played Standard in any sort of official capacity. Just to get some games in, and the deck was really good. I had 0 experience with the deck, and I ended up jumping into a league and going 5-0 with it. It was very good. But you also saw a lot of cards across the range of cards that were printed get banned in that rotation, right? I mean, that's kind of when we saw a big leap in newly minted cards getting hit up. So,
all right, looks like we have round 3 coming up here.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm just trying to adjust chat. If you guys have anything to say, just tell me to shut up, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, we're heading towards the match. You can keep going. The match is not underway yet, so
yeah. Now we're talking about cut and strip. But I think right now there is some debate as to like what the best builds of like red deck win are. I think you. At this point, you play Strip, you play Mox, you play Pop, and then you have some choices after that, but not many. I think before it was a Lotus deck. Now I don't think it is. I think you'd rather have Pop than have Lotus in your deck. Lotus is actually a liability in some matchups, in my opinion. Like against the more attritional decks like Jeskai Midrange, it's already a bad matchup. You actually don't want to have Lotus because you just get blown the fuck out and be down cards. All right, so yeah, hasty concession. It's like, nope, I don't want to play Brahms. Nope, not doing it.
I'm confused.
It's Moto. It doesn't look like they quit.
No.
Maybe they did. Maybe
the timers aren't going down, so
yeah, it could have. All right, well, it looks like they're gonna rejoin. Maybe someone probably chose the wrong deck. They probably accidentally chose the wrong deck or something.
Yeah, that could be.
That would track.
I've definitely had that happen. I'd be like, hey, bud, like, listen, I've had a couple funny ones where I'm like, hey, bud, my deck has no lands in it. There was one where like literally it was like an 80 card deck and it was missing like all but like probably 4 lands, and somehow like I just didn't notice it, and I actually won the first game with like this like deck that had like literally like less than a third of its mana base in it because I just got lucky and had a good opener. But I was like, man, my deck feels like it's really land light right now. I was playing like shit. And then like I got to sideboarding and I was like, oh shit, this is not even a fucking real deck. This isn't a deck. Like it's not a built deck. This deck should not function. Yeah, that shit'll happen. Especially if you like build a lot of random stuff. Yeah, that's probably my guess too, JP. Probably the wrong deck.
It looks like
wait, this is the same hand.
Well, it's a lot of white cards.
It's a very similar hand. I don't know if it is the exact same hand.
It's the same hand. I am watching the same person by mistake.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
This one looks pretty fine.
Right,
yeah, I'd keep this one.
There you go. And
so,
I brought... Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to fix it.
No problem. Just to comment on this matchup, one, like, and this is where I think if you want to beat red deck wins, like, this is one of the, like, Death and Tax is a great deck to do it. Like, and you can even go a little more beat downy with it, especially the mid range builds of it. Like, you can upscale them so fast, and you still have threat presentation that forces them to obligate their burn to the board, and or just not be able to get through with their creatures. So it really ties them up, and it also can just kill people quickly. That Crypt was actually doesn't do that much. I mean, it allows them to cast a 3-drop next turn if they want.
Yeah.
They're just going to play on a 1-drop here and double cantrip, which seems fine to me. That tap land's not going to look great. They have to make the debate now. Do I just dump the Crypt and risk taking the damage? And I think there's merit to it. And
we should Force Spike.
Yeah, they're probably going to be... I mean, actually here, like, they can spell Pierce the Crypt if their OP plays land first. So I think we'll just see. But Arakasi's hand's a little bit awkward. I mean, like, you're hemming next turn.
Yeah.
Yes. If you hit a land, you can Jace if they don't get a threat down this turn. I don't know. And if they don't pierce this Crypt, they can't Force Spike a 3-drop. It kind of just works out awkwardly, and that's kind of one of the things you sometimes get with these conditional counter spells. Is like if you're OPS fast mana, they can be quickly outclassed.
Marco.
Yeah.
Yes. What's up?
Check messages.
I'm sorry.
I do think there was a decent argument to just trying to spell Pierce, though. I guess the other side of that coin is they probably have 3 to 4 4-mana Planeswalkers in their deck. I know I tend to run those because they're very good in these decks. You can get them still with like the Pierce or the Snare. I'm sorry, the Pierce or the Spike. This is kind of the most punishing of all worlds. They just play a threat that you can't do either too, and you're just like, well, and it has protection from half your deck, which is not great. They get the minimum, put a blocker down, and leave up both their counter spells. I'm in my position. I'm half tempted to just get them there with the Hymn to Turek, just to reduce their further development down. Because you can only block one of their threats, and it's like you're trading a 2/1, a 2-mana 2/1 that gains you life for just a 1-mana 2/1. I don't know that's per se better, and you're still able to leave up both your counter spells. So it's like you just buy more time. I think because it stands now. I mean, they're going to be able to resolve either. They're going to be able to resolve their threat. Their counter spells.
We had a bit of an issue with 2 players. Blahguy loaded the wrong deck, but he happened to load a deck that was fairly similar to his, so that he didn't notice until turn 2 when he fetched. I think I'm just gonna tell them to start from scratch and be done with it, but I wanted to hear if people had inputs on how to figure this problem out.
Just TO it, just let them restart. I mean, if the other player has an issue with it, give them. I mean, if it's a big issue and Blahguy feels obligated, I mean, I give him a round a first game loss in the match, and then let him play it out. But
that was the question that I was considering. My inclination is to just get them to start from scratch.
Yeah, we're not Comrel. I mean, there's no prize on the line. Play the games, fuck it, let them restart. If there was a fucking prize on the line, like a big one. It's like, all right, guys, get your shit straight. Like, we're playing for fucking money or whatever, but, it's a fun tournament. Let's let them restart. I mean, that's just, I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. I mean, what are you winning, by arguing with that? Play some good Magic. If someone messed up, has the wrong deck, let them play their deck, my opinion, but it matters.
I'm wondering what to do if this happens in Comprel. I would need to think about it. It's not clear.
Well, we're not, but this is online Magic, so I mean, real life, if that happened, I'd be like, dude, you're a fucking dumbass. Get out of my store.
Well, no. If this happens,
just don't play.
My level 0 understanding of if this happens a PTQ. This is a deck list problem, right? So the thing is that you fix the deck technically. But
I'm not a judge, so I don't know if there's rules governing it, but I'm not a judge, so I mean I don't know if there's rules governing what the outcome of something like that would be. But my assumption would be a game loss into start your next game in this round. Go to boarding.
It would be pretty difficult for this to happen in paper.
Yeah, it's really fucking up.
Yeah, it would. But I would imagine somebody having I don't know. Selesnya Aggro and Abzan Midrange both lived in the same sleeve.
If you're in a comp roll event, I don't know why you'd be carrying multiple decks. I mean, like, it's just more shit to lose out of your bag. But, you know, you carry your deck and, you know, maybe you get your trade binder if you need to make some money or you need to get rid of some shit or trying to look for some stuff. But I think it's, yeah. Generally, if you're playing for real money, you just got your deck on you. Anyway, this is looking pretty bleak for the blue-black deck, which I think, in general, this is a difficult matchup. I don't think it's unwinnable, but I think it's very hard. I played this one a couple times, and some of them have been close. But I think, in general, what I've tended to see when I play like a Death and Taxes style deck is that blue-black tempo / mid-range tends to struggle. Now, if they get like off an early Toxic Deluge into like a 3 or 4 mana threat afterwards with counterspell backup, like they can get you, but you know. As we see here, I mean, all these counter spells are just stuck. You're just like, ugh, what do I do? You know?
And here we see him getting rid of just 2 lands, which Arakasi can't be happy about here.
No. I mean, one of them was a redraw, so, I mean, you're essentially eating up 2 mana on the follow-on turn for a redraw. It's a silent clearing, but yeah, actually, they're very close to dead, too. I mean, this thing... I guess if they now the Jace can't activate the turn it comes into play if they get the mana for it. Based on this Eidolon, they've got a threat on board that can attack for, you know, they've got the land plus all these threats. And me, I'm just slamming for all of it. Like, just send them all in, ship the clowns in, let them get in there. They'll trade off this Mire Triton for either a chump or for the 2/1. That said, like even like Toxic Deluge or Damnation, which I don't believe they're running Damnation, but I believe they are on Toxic Deluge. Doesn't do shit against the Gideon. The Gideon's not a creature on their turns. It's like, ugh, you're just in a real rough spot. And frankly, relatively soon, I mean, if this Gideon gets big enough, you can just knock this Mox out and put him even further back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see that happen. I think we'll just see it keep on getting plussed up, but. It's a thing that could happen. My guess would be just fire up everything. Just fire up the factory, just ship, force to trade off stuff.
If Brahms doesn't play this Eidolon in first combat main phase, this Force Spike could get rid of it.
Yeah, they'll play it right now though. They want to leave with the Caracas, which is a wise move because I mean, you want to leave the Caracas. It's a very high tempo play. It limits what they could pot. There are holdings that are relevant. It does limit, so you definitely play it out here, I think. Yeah, looks like a beaten. You probably should block their land, yeah. Makes sense.
What do you think about giving this Mirren Crusader Vigilance versus giving the Factory Indestructible here? Because you have the Eidolon on defense here.
Oh, you don't care about defense. If they want to swing at you, it's great. Like that's like another thing they're not blocking with. Like your life total is 20. I mean, they're not killing you fast. The 2 won't matter. I mean, I think it was a pretty superfluous decision. To be honest, if you had a follow-on spell, I would consider giving the land vigilance. So you could actually give you the land vigilance is actually nice because you can make it huge. You know, you can make it a 3/3 and then win in combat with it, which is kind of cool. But I don't think it matters all that much. Therefore, like there's a Gideon that attacks for lethal. If you sweep the board, you're tapped out. You can't even pay for the Toxic Deluge without being just dead to Gideon. It's like so much is like I don't even know what cards winning the game there. It's like an Ancestral Recall and do a bunch of right answers.
Yeah, pretty difficult to get out of that one.
Yeah, I have to sit and really like theory craft that. It's not.
You have to rip a plunge that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, my answer to like how do I not die here generally tends to involve a lot of big mana free cards and Obliterate and Shining Shoal. Pitch cards and like cards that just blow every single thing up. Like, well, if we had a Black Lotus and a Mox right now and get to 8 mana, I can cast Obliterate. I get to see it happen.
Obliterate doesn't even kill the Gideon.
It exists, right? I'm pretty sure it exists.
No, I don't think Obliterate does, because I played it in like a Nib-Mizzet deck that went with Planeswalkers. I just like used that deck to like blow up.
I think Obliterate has the old
yeah, I'm pretty sure it does too. I think it's like old.
It doesn't affect Planeswalkers to begin with.
Yeah. The hopes everything. Hopes doesn't work on them either. It's weird because like the old red cards like were in like Nevin Jarl's disc like were templated based on the permanents that existed at the time Magic was around. I mean, likely if they were printed today, they would encompass planeswalkers as well.
Yeah, I mean,
but the funny thing is, white cards actually don't. The old white cards that do this like Cataclysm, I guess what I'm talking about, like actually reference them in the negative. So like it does deal with retroactive or new new card types. So like Cataclysm just kills every planeswalker. So like get the fuck out of here. You don't see that card that much anymore, but it's a cool card.
The difference, I feel that the difference between a lot of the red cards that do this and like there is a reason that the red cards are not played that way because the red cards don't actually kill enchantments. Like if you look at cards like the Hero of Annihilation.
Oh, the originals did. Hopes kills enchantments, right? Jackal Hopes, Jackal Hops, however you want to say it. I call it the Hops, but you gotta get the old art. Don't get me any different art. You gotta get me the old art. I want the old Hopes art.
Of course, like that is
the waterfall with shit falling down the waterfall.
That's also like the only art.
Yeah, fair enough.
Artemis creatures and lands.
Yeah, just creatures, artifacts, and lands.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so Hopes doesn't kill enchantments.
Yeah. And say for like the Hero of Annihilation and all this stuff. The white cards were just doing it for the sake of doing it. Like, or like Disc, right?
Yeah, it's because no one's really never understood what white's supposed to do. I mean, it's like it's small creatures and it just blows a bunch of shit up. It evidently now draws cards because people complain enough they don't like white cards. Oh, I love white cards. I think white cards are great. White beatdowns, great creatures. Best creatures in the game, in my opinion. Green does not have the best creatures. White does. White's creatures are amazing. There's always like good little creatures.
White has the best small creatures. Green has the.
What's relevant in the game? Like it turns 1 through 3 are probably the most relevant turns in any game of Magic. There's a Nevin Jarl's disc. Sick. So.
This turned around really quickly for Arakasi after him to got the only non-land cards out of Brahms' hand there.
Yeah, no, Armageddon could just end the game. Here, probably just going to trade this last off. If they don't land, I think they probably play the Bob out and try to trade off with the 1-drop and then counter whatever their next spell is and then try to Liliana the last remaining creature.
Yep.
As it stands, Ashiok's still going to live, I mean, actually, Ashiok's not going to get a hit this turn. I would assume that the 2/2 goes to Liliana and just gets her off the board.
Yeah,
I think then the Ashiok can start making a board. There's like a Soldier of the Pantheon and a...
No, Arakasi's going to probably win this. I mean, that was a good draw, but,
Midrange Crusader even underneath it.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is what they get with this. I mean, like, Mother of Runes is really good in this matchup if you want to just have a board impact right now, like have something that just needs to be dealt with right now. But I could also see like getting Mirror Crusader or like something else just like is really hard, a pain in the ass to deal with. Although Ashiok does make it such that like they can put blockers in front of like a white creature out of their own deck. So they don't hit the Liliana. They want to, so they're going to get a 1-drop is what they're saying by doing this play. Because you don't want to find a 2 or 3 drop or 4-drop or whatever and then like have it just get demolished by Liliana. So they go for essentially the quote-unquote card advantage line off of Liliana. I assume. We're going to see what they get. If they get like a 2 or 3 drop, I'm going to be like, oh no, mistakes were made.
That would be unfortunate.
Yeah, that would be, would be the best. I've got a TC in hand. TC, I mean, could get ugly. I honestly don't think that, like, all right, so they get this card. So they want to draw more cards. Huh. I would have figured Mother. I like Mother. Well, they're going to kill the Liliana. Liliana's kind of irrelevant, but like, kind of like, if you're going to get a 1-drop, you're kind of like getting Mother. Because Mother allows you to kind of fight against this Ashiok if they do manage to deal with your board here. So they're going to demolish their own hand, get rid of this miscalc, would be my guess. Maybe they don't actually use... Okay, they use her. I think that makes sense to use her there. Because you actually kind of want to... If you're not casting a counter spell on this turn, you kind of want to use it to transmute it into mana for this Treasure Cruise. What you're really hoping for is they draw a 2-drop, which that wasn't a 2-drop. That's a good card they can cast. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at this point, I mean, you could just not block as well and try to get more free cards off the Bob because, you're not countering this and, like, you're in a rough spot off this card. This card's problematic.
How do you feel about this Elspeth in Death and Taxes?
I think it's fine. I don't think it's the best. I mean, I tend to... I think it's playable. I don't think red decks tend to be that hard of a matchup for this deck. So personally, and how I build them and like how I play them, like I rarely lose to red decks. Sometimes you do, but it's pretty rare in my experience. Which I think is the deck that this card in general is going to give you the most equity against. It's okay. It is a source of long-term card advantage in a deck that can actually produce a significant amount of mana over time. It's more of a landed deck. It's got about 34, and that's to kind of support the ability to value mulligan into the relevant hate pieces you need, given the matchup you're in. So it's actually a much more pilot-intensive deck, in my opinion, than folks can kind of sometimes give it credit for. It's less aggro, more control, in my opinion. It's definitely an aggro control deck at heart. That was not a bad draw. Not the worst. All right, so they have 2 kill spells at a minimum now. They can kind of deal with some of the board. And if they opt to use this Elspeth again, I don't know if I like doing that right. I guess they want the mana, is what they're saying with this.
Yeah, these are some pretty painful removal spells here.
What's what, Red Mage?
Is that a dismember?
That's Dismember to Snuff Out. Yeah. It's Altered Art, Snuff Out, and Altered Art, Dismember. Yeah, they want the mana for Treasure Cruise, I guess is what they're saying with this line of play.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of life, though.
It is.
So, I don't know. I don't know how sold I am.
Holding up Spell Snare. I don't know if Spell Snare is worth 2 life.
We'll see. A lot of 2-drops in this deck. That wasn't one of them. Not even a useful card. Well, I guess we'll just see them make a bunch of 1/1s here. They need to get some threats on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that expends their Elspeth, though. All right, they're going to draw.
So draw.
All right, it's a Rishport, unplayable. At this point, it'd be playable next turn. My guess would be this Treasure Cruise can get them their 4th land, so that opens up some risk on the tech edge. Their mana will be disruptible.
That is for sure.
Be off blue mana, but if they manage to hit another duel, they can be in a good spot. All right, make some 1/1s as expected. Pretty far off from getting that thing back. I mean, I guess they're only 1 land off, but they're probably going to pop this tech edge. We're also at a pretty high risk of this Bob being, an issue. Luckily, they didn't draw the Moo. They want to hit a land here, though. I think I actually kind of like just shrinking one of these Izzets and with the Moo, and then blocking with Bob.
They're hesitantíssimo. Not find the land there.
Yeah, no, they didn't. So they're probably going to go ahead and brainstorm, I guess would be. You're in a desperate enough spot that you want to brainstorm to find this land, then Mental Note to get rid of the junk cards that you don't want in your hand.
Yep.
And what don't you want in your hand? You probably don't want this counterspell. The True Name is really good, but your mana is going to get just F'd. You don't know how bad it's going to get F'd, but you know it's going to get F'd to some extent. You're going to lose at least 1 blue source. So my guess would be you put the Spell Snare and maybe the Kira. It depends on what you think is more valuable, the Kira or the Booyanling. I don't think you want all of those 3 drops because you're just not going to have time to cast them based on the fact that there's a tech edge. It's probably going to pop next turn, considering they didn't do anything with 2 mana. So, yeah. I also didn't find a blue source, so Mental Note, will do its thing next turn, but I just don't think this glut of 3 drops is going to serve them well. In the minimum, their OP's been dead drawing, which is one of the biggest concerns. Once you've kind of spent your resources in an opener, you're off the top of your deck in this style of deck. You have some selection, but you're not playing cantrips, so you kind of just get what you get. They're gonna get back this Elspeth.
Yep. Running back Elspeth.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's not the worst. I mean, I honestly here, I think I just knock apart their mana at a minimum this turn and look for another draw step, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. Although, they can put them down to 2. Assumption being that they'll pump 2 of these things and the Bob will block 1 of them, trading off, and they'll take 4. So that's a thing.
There's a Fatal Push here, though.
Yeah, but I mean, no one's on the board. No one's on the board.
Yeah.
So they prevent some damage here. And because they didn't do this, now they can actually resolve this True Name, which gums up the board, right? I mean, it's just all right, well, what are you going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
They may actually. So they're in a weird spot, right? They don't really want to draw that next card. They want to draw another blue source pretty badly, but they also don't want to tie up their upkeep and one of their blue sources, Mental Noting, to get rid of that top card, which they know is on island, because it precludes them, if they do not hit an island or a blue source, from playing one of these 2/3 drops out. So you made it to draw that crap, which is
what do you think
definitely
about doing Tech Edge plus Port over Castle Ardenvale here.
Oh, 100% I do that. I want to fuck their mana up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want to ride out my early game advantage and ensure that their clunky ass mana does not beat me. But they don't seem to agree. They want to make more 1/1s. That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I get rid of their blue mana. Their blue mana is obviously their choke point right now. They just played a double blue spell at 3. My assumption in my mind is they either have crap, in which case it doesn't really matter which one I do, because like I'm probably winning around the same time frame anyways, because they're not playing threats, or they have a bunch of blue cards that like are board presentation, they're pressure, right? So yeah, Moo comes down, shrinks this thing, but the board's just going to slowly grow, and I guess to some extent they can hold it back right now with the True Nemesis, but like they got to find a place to actually start presenting pressure, and like the True Name is good at stopping races from starting, but it's not great at stopping a race it's already begun. It's kind of one of the things that I found with the card, like especially in these horizontal grow style strategies or decks that have like horizontal elements like this. And yeah, I think that's going to be the end of the game, because I think they can put this Moo back on top during upkeep and force him to replay it, and they're just continuing to make 1/1s. And like the longer time goes on, if you have a Castle Ardenvale and the mana to use it, the worse off you are, right? If you're the other player, it's having that done to them. So yeah, I think we'll probably see this one end. And again, it's not really a great matchup for blue-black. It's a more challenging one in my opinion, but obviously opinions can vary.
Yeah, I agree. I think the small disruptive creatures get around counter spells quite effectively, and then
it's just they're cheaper
than
than the interaction.
You can play these powerful cards.
Yeah, they're just cheaper than the interaction the other deck has. And the other deck's threats are more expensive, so it's like you're put in these dilemmas where it's like, do I try to win the game by playing my threat and then just get swamped, or do I deal with the swarm and then just like allow them to have more draw steps and not really be pressuring them to end the game faster? And it's like, it's just at the end of the day, it's the disruptive creatures are great, but it's really, I think, what makes this matchup tough. The element of this matchup that makes it tougher for the blue-black deck is just the cards that are cheaper than their cards that answer the cards that are killing them. So it's basically why the red deck wins matchup is really bad for blue-black as well. It's like, it's even more so, I think, accentuated in that matchup, because it's like, my one mana Jackal Pups, like my bazillion 1 mana Jackal Pups, get dealt with at 2 mana and up. And it's like, that's great for me, unless you have very specific cards like Toxic Deluge or Damnation, which I don't think they run Damnation. So it's like, you have one card that like can really sweep me, and I'm not going to probably play around it, because most of the time you won't have it, and I'll just swamp you. So.
Yep. So they stuck the Moon Yamling on top of the library to try and prevent Arakasi from being able to draw an answer here.
Yeah. Well, that's a blocker, and honestly, you probably play it. You do need to develop options. You play something here, to block. All right, they just concede. Are they actually dead? No, they're dead. They're literal dead.
Yeah,
so they're literal dead. I don't even think there were draws next to one line. Yeah.
Wasn't this the game where we thought that Arakasi was like super ahead on turn 5 or something?
No, I would. So, like, what turned this game around was the Elsbeth, right? Like, the Elsbeth just ground Arakasi out. And, like, given the information we had at the time, like, they were not in a bad spot. Like, they had pretty good early game position, but, like, their OP, playing the white deck, drew a card that was very problematic. It presented a wide board state and a relatively, like, slow progression of pressure from Arakasi's side at card advantage, right? So, I mean, it put, like, probably over.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
What do we want to go to? We have Zannty versus Blahguy. We have Loring versus Luca, and that's it. Actually. Oh, and Wolfgang versus PalaceJailer. Actually.
Let's watch Loading versus Luca. We haven't seen. I believe.
We haven't seen either of them actually. I mean, we've seen a little bit of Luca. No, we've seen like a decent chunk of Luca, but oh god.
What? We haven't seen Loading play today, so let's check that out.
We have these things.
Okay, so there was a Lyra Dawnbringer in that deck. That's a big angel. That's a lot of trampling deer or elk or whatever that is. How did that happen? All right, there's a Planeswalker I don't know on the board, so I assume that's the card that did it, the green one down there.
It's a Vivian Monsters Advocate. It lets you go to the top and cast creatures, and then it makes beasts.
Cool. The beast looks a lot like an elk. I wonder if they just did that for jokes.
It's all the mutate weird things on Ikoria.
No, I just think it's funny that it looks like an elk.
Yeah.
Like they recently, had the the whole like whatever thing. Malicious Affliction. Yeah, I that's actually really good here because the creature died. It's a first strike. They can knock out this like very problematic Lyra. Pardon me, guys. I'm sorry about that. I did not manage to cover the mic in time. I'm sorry about that. So I mean, this kills the Lyra. What do you get after that? Probably the Monastery Mentor would be my guess. It's probably the card that spooks me out the most. It can be spooky. There's actually the Mentor of the Meek, which we saw in the game versus blue-red deck recall. That's a card I really like. So like one of the decks that like actually was a like I don't want to like steal. I think it was a deck idea that I had, and like it adapted. Other people have built it. Like Ben Wheeler built on it. I think built more of like a Soul Sister's version or Soul Sister style version of it. Is Martyr Proc. Which is kind of like a cool, interesting deck from like Modern that I tried building in this format, and like I built it more value centric and less like life gain centric, but it still had some of that element to it. But Mentor of the Meek was an interesting card in that deck. If you're not familiar with Martyr Proclamation of Rebirth is a forecast card, which allows you to buy back essentially every upkeep for a crap ton of mana. I believe it's 6 mana, 1-drops. So you'd use stuff like Kami of False Hope and like Abu Jafar and like random crap like that to just basically have play a value game plan, a big mana like small creature value control game plan. And it's Mentor of the Meek just reminds me of that deck. It's a really cool card. Doesn't see a lot of play.
Just wanted to confirm that the match score is correct. Loading is in fact up a game. Just making sure that that's clear.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
We see a Fire Song and Sunspeaker in hand, which is not a card you see very often, if at all.
No, and like you have the horse next to it too. That thing that makes 4/4s when you gain life and whatnot. There are some. There
are 5/5s.
Yeah, there's some like big cards. Some cards you don't really tend to see very often in Canadian Highlander. My guess would be like we were talking about earlier is like they wanted to go a little bit bigger than red deck wins and kind of just like smash them, just go over the top of them. That can work in certain cases. I don't know if it's my favorite approach for winning the matchup, but sometimes you resolve a Worm Coil engine and they're just dead.
Yeah, that'll happen. But
just a big
it's
dummy.
Like you said, you need more than just pure life gain to beat the red deck.
Yeah, I know. I that's why I said I don't think it's the way to go personally, but like I'm willing to be wrong. Tarmogoof's going to eat some stuff. I'm assuming it's dying here too. I can't see its power and toughness, but my guess would be this is a trade that is favorable to make. The 1/1s aren't really doing much on this board.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is why the elk aren't attacking, or the beast. The beast.
Yeah.
They're 25. Sure. Yeah, I think I'd just be slamming those silly, goofy things in there. Getting after them. Giving them the business. Now, did they not use their card this turn? I didn't see a card go to hand. Maybe they have 6.
Maybe not.
Here's the downside to having Burton Forge Tender in your deck. You draw in this matchup, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, why am I playing this card? I don't think it's that bad. I think you can get away with it, but it's It's not the card I would go to beat red. I think it's more of a reactive card to like strategies that are trying to sweep your cards with red cards.
Yeah.
Like big red, like Wildfire decks. Oof. Burton Forge Tender. Just like, all right, all my weenies just live. Cool land destruction, bro.
I mean, they're even playing red, so maybe they could be playing the Wildfire. Who knows?
I don't think that would be the case. I mean, look at their creature suite. I don't think that would be the case, but I mean, I've seen crazier stuff, but not much.
Well, here we're going to see Garrick Relentless probably take care of this kitchen things here.
Yeah, could start becoming a tutor on the following turns. I don't mind making a beast either. Just like swamp them with creatures.
Yeah, it looks like the
they
be taking here.
I think it's a sun-crested mare or whatever that card's called. The thing that makes more horses.
Mare.
Yeah.
What is it?
Crested Sun Mare.
There we go. Sure. Like that card, that 5-drop. It could definitely. That doesn't lifelink. It doesn't gain life. So, yeah. Although that said, like I think there were a couple missed opportunities for attacks with these beasts, and I think if they had gotten one more attack at a minimum in with them, that'd probably equate to like about 9 damage, and it put him in a better spot to close probably a turn faster. But
definitely.
I didn't do the math out, but I mean, with how much hidden information there was, I think it's attacking there was more correct. Didn't have a lot of risk to the walkers.
I
At
see
that
just
point.
pumping out flyers here.
Yep. Not a bad thing to be doing. Serra Benevolent's a fine card. I don't know about this card. I talked out about this card a little bit when it first came out, but like honestly, at the end of the day, a 4-mana Serra Angel's pretty good. You know, it's pretty fine. I mean, yes, it goes very low on loyalty. It doesn't generally have great staying power. When it does, it just takes over games like most walkers do. And it essentially protects itself by putting a body in the way of anything that would be attacking it. That in general is going to trade pretty favorably at around 4 mana. You know, it's either going to trade or it's going to eat stuff. It's trying to attack into your walker. All right, that's a gold-looking card. What is that? A Maelstrom Pulse or something?
Yep, Maelstrom Pulse. All of their
Gaze of
name.
Granite.
I can only see the bottom half of the card, so I wasn't okay. So it's Pulse and then Gaze of Granite, which I mean, like they're probably not going to cast. Maybe they will.
Yeah, they can just pump out 2 more tokens here, so this could be quite favorable.
Yeah, but you'd attack first, right? I guess you don't have to, but like, why wouldn't you just eat the attack with all and eat the stupid walker and then do it?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So that said, it leaves
we're just gonna go for it pre-combat.
Okay, the Sunmare. They're gonna kill all their walkers this way too, though, right? If they're gonna kill the Sunmare will stick around as a 5-drop, right? So their big planeswalker would stick around, but their Karn and their Garruk would go away. You can do it for less.
You can also
you can just do it for 3.
Oh.
Okay.
There's no horses. Okay.
No, but the problem is the 5-drop.
No. Any horses would also stick around because they are indestructible as long as the Crossed Man.
This for 2. I can't say I fully understand why they're doing this for 2. I feel like it puts them in a worse spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you leave the things around.
I mean, they can still eat this thing if they want to activate the Mutavault, but they're going to lose 2 things doing that, and their walkers will be they won't be covered up. Yeah, I just don't like that line of play. I think I like my board position if I'm in that spot, so I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I had more coffee. I didn't realize that.
What's that now?
I just realized I had more coffee. I thought I was out of coffee, but I have more.
Oh, yeah, I got my cup here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go on a quick hiatus and get some more coffee myself. That's a good idea. I got a pot of it over there. I'll be back momentarily, gents.
So, loading seems to be in a pretty good position here. I'm going to flip this Garruk after dealing with this Kitchen Finks. And flipping Garruk. And maybe next turn tutoring for a creature after minusing Vivian could lead into a pretty powerful turn.
Thinking about the kind of creatures he has in his deck, Sunmare is probably the target for whatever he gets.
Yeah, perhaps.
Do you attack and kill the Serra here? Like just throw everything in front of it at it?
I don't think so, because I think if loading valued this Serra, he would have cast the Gaze of Granite in a way that would allow him to destroy the Serra.
But then you lose.
No,
you lose your Karn and your Garruk if you Gaze of Granite.
I don't.
I'm saying you cast it post combat because you can go in on the Serra and then cast Gaze of Granite.
Well, that's just the technically correct line there.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't lose any equity. I mean, they kill some stuff in blocks, but you have so many bodies that like you still kill the Seer anyways. And then all those same bodies that you would have had greater equity in are killed by the Gaze of Granite. So the line just all around doesn't make sense, but that's fine. Like it's what happened, right? I mean, I just think it was a misplay straight up. Like I don't see a reason why you would not deal with the Walker and have the same impact, actually greater impact, having done so with the Gaze of Granite with no further loss of equity. Now, I do think there is probably a better debate in like, do you even need to cast this Gaze of Granite? Personal opinion is looking at it, and I didn't like digest it like fully, but probably not. I don't think you need to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, because Luca's most important creatures did end up sticking around.
Yeah. I mean, like you had them horizontally outgrown with 2 token generating engines on board and an attacking land. So you had a lot of bodies. You had bodies on your side. All right, we're gonna kill this thing off with the land.
Luca kinda still trying to like find some way to gain some life and start paying 5/5s. She hasn't been able to.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably gonna pop land again. I mean, you can also just like honestly at this point, like that Garrett can find like a Shriek Maw or something, and they can just kill off the stupid Sunmare. If they really want to get rid of it, they can do it here, or they can just make a 1/1 and do it next turn. I mean, like dealing with that, you have a tutor engine on board, right? I mean, you got a thing that tutors every turn if you really wanted to.
And this Vivian can minus and grab something in combination with what Garrett tutors.
Yeah. Do you mind putting up
to impact the board?
That Vivian again, TRM?
Sure.
I actually wanted to just read that card real quick. I haven't played with it yet. I think it's one of the new cards. I mean, it's a 6-drop Planeswalker, and like
it's a 5
my take on 6-drop. Oh, it's 5-drop. 5 and 6-drop Planeswalkers. Like I'll be honest, I don't put a ton of time into reading. So just like
you basically get Fisher Side for creatures and a 3/3 factory.
I just want to read it. It's just to me like they're almost all very similar.
Yeah, plus into make a 3/3 is kind of a big game.
They're all really good, and they just win games. Is kind of my thing on them. Like they're obviously they're contextually different, but I mean 5-drops. You know, today's 5-drops are just goddamn. They're elbow drops. I mean they're beatings. So, but I think they're also at a point where like they're a little bit above line with mana progression in this format, where like. You can also you don't have to read them all. There's so many of you have to read them all.
All the 5-drops, that they bring today are elbow drops. The problem is that also all the 4-drops are elbow drops. So like you don't need the 5-drops as much.
Yeah, that card's really good. I just read it. That's a really good card. It's just it's 5 mana. It's 5 mana. That's the biggest downside too, which is actually a significant downside. It's probably why I haven't read it. Because I was like, 5-drop. You know, it's very good, but you know, it's 5 mana. It's a lot. It's a damnation.
Nissa could be quite good here.
I mean,
I hate the fact that her choice of damnations exist, because every time that I look for damnation, I find both cards and I have to do an extra click.
Choice of Damnation at a minimum has pretty good art. Got that old dude with that little bucket thing.
Yeah, it does.
You know? Cool art. All right, so they can kill the board this turn. They can tutor if they don't want to tutor. They're gonna pull something. I assume the mare. Nope, they want to get rid of the Minotaur King thing.
To be fair, by this point, the mare has been on the battlefield for 78 turns and it has yet to make an idiot, so at this point you're kind of like, probably just can't.
Well, no, you know your opponent's off the top of their deck. You know your opponent's just like playing whatever they can play.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, they've been playing like 4 and 5 drops every turn. It's not likely they have another 4 or 5 drop or 6 drop in hand. It's possible. Not likely. The thing that's killing me right now is like the more I look at this, like didn't we say this is a 30 land deck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
30 land deck.
It's 32.
All right.
Again,
just
two Mox.
No, it's not a fair. You do not count Mox as land drops. You just can't.
Absolutely do.
No, you don't. They're not land drops. They're acceleration. Like like in certain matchups, they're going to do that for you. But if it can be counterspelled, if it can be blown up by artifact hate, like it's not the same as having mana in your deck. They're great. Don't get me wrong, but like I think when you start building with them being considered as hard land drops, you're going on a bad route. I think you have to treat them like acceleration. You know, like almost like rituals. You know,
not gonna lie, I've actually never resolved the Mox in my life, so possibly I'm not the most.
What is the format you're playing to? I mean, like you know, but like.
That's
in old school, it's a little slower. It varies a little bit. Like if you're playing old school, like the value of Moxen like is different. Because the card quality of what you can do with them is a lot lower. I mean, your card draw on your mana is ridiculous, but you know, you're like brain geysering, and that's like an OP play, you know, or fireballing. It's an OP play. Anyway, yeah, I think this is gonna be a challenge for blue red. I just don't think blue red's the deck to have right now. Just looking at the decks we've seen,
not with so many red decks floating around. This tournament, this season has been dominated by red decks, and I don't think you just want to be
theoretically be pretty good against like the Oracle deck. But
yeah, but this season has been dominated by red decks is the thing, and I think that because of that, you just want. I don't think you can submit a tempo deck at all in an environment where these many.
And frankly, as you look at like the Genesis of the tournament, it's kind of always been a big component of the metagame, which is fair because it's a big component of the Canadian Highlander metagame. That said, like I mean, like I don't disagree with you. I mean, like when it was season 3, I think it was when you first went over to MTGO and like I played 2 events and qualified for the finals, like. I mean, I did well in those events. I think I went 3-1 and 4-0 with like Death and Taxes, like both times. So I'm like, this tournament's dominated by like fair decks, and a lot of them are red. So I'll play a bunch of white cards, just beat the dog shit out of red cards, and are pretty good against everything else. And it was it was a fairly useful or fairly good recipe. It worked. Although I played medium red, I think Wolfgang was on medium red the one time I played them on red. That is a Lightning Scale Elemental. I'm glad I was thinking it countered. I guess it's fair. It's all fair in love and war, but I mean, you'd love to see someone just get bone crunched by a Lightning Scale Elemental. I mean, it's just a beating. It's a remand. Our hopes are still around that we can see a Scale Elemental next turn. And unfortunately, Zannty's on one card. Yeah, this is going to be a challenging one. Blahguy's got essentially a threat left in the exile zone from this Bone Crusher.
Yeah.
We know they have a good threat in hand, so unless their opponent draws a red card or a counter spell, like a red kill spell or a counter spell, could be in some trouble. But there's a lot of those in that deck, I presume.
And Zannty just a land in hand.
I guess Skelemental when you have one card in hand is really not great. All right, we see Zannty's hand. Yeah, I mean you just remanded. It's blind draw, 2 blind draws. It's a real hard matchup. Like it's just not a good event for blue red right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And blue red's a great deck. It's just you need more like uninteractive bullshit. Like you need like Academy to sweep through and just get some red decks. You need some Storm, and then like you play blue red. It's great against those decks because it can protect and defend.
Yeah, it's
or
like
protect and attack.
I don't nobody. I don't think anybody is saying that like blue red is like a bad deck as like in a vacuum, but I don't think the tempo decks are very well.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I just it's I do feel a little bit sad about it. I like to see people bring decks that have played fun and interesting games for them. The hope is it's fun for them, right? Like it's pretty rare that I'm surprised by decks in Magic anymore. So like, for me, it's like, whatever. I mean, I've probably seen something similar to it at some point. If I haven't, then I'm gonna get excited by it and think it's really sick. And that happens still, but it's more the exception at this point.
Yeah, but the metagame definitely is very hostile to the type of deck right now.
Yeah, it's not great. All right. Well, do they have the burn spell? No, we know what they have. They have a 3/1, which is
not the best against the 6/1 trample.
No, it really isn't. Yeah, I mean, what do? You can cast it, just get it on the board, and start. I mean, you gotta have a threat. That's the problem with tempo. So you gotta have a threat, and you also gotta answer all this shit that's just beating you to death right now. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
You can't just sit back and counter all the spells forever. Sometimes you got.
Looks quite. I wonder why Zannty didn't.
No, they still have time. They're doing that in response to the trigger. So they'll do it right now and just play it out. I mean, you just do it right now. It's fine. Like, it's really no different. They would have been blocking with it if they wanted to play it earlier during the attack step, but they can do it with the trigger on the stack, and this trigger will resolve, and the hand will go away, but the hand's already gone, so it's fine. They do get their free cards off this light of the stage. So what do they find? A card they can play, which is unfortunate, plus a removal spell, and more than likely, actually not quite lethal. Not quite lethal next turn. They're one short right now.
Yep.
But and everything's known information at this point, so it's basically like, do you have it? Well, that fairy can buy them some time. The unfortunate thing is, like, even if they block both these threats here, they're OPs to be able to get them both back. I mean, the Bloodsoak they can just get back right away, and I believe they can as well with the Dread the Dread Wanderer. I can't remember if that's a 3 mana card to return to hand, or if it's 2 mana to return to hand. They need to recast it for a total of 3. There's a couple different varieties of that card now.
I believe that's the 3 mana return to the battlefield, but you can only do it if you have 1 or less cards.
Correct. Yeah, there's one that's like that, and there's one that's like you pay 2 but you need to replay it out of hand. So it's like 2 to actually activate the ability, but it goes back to hand. So
all right, that's our sprite's gonna
get something.
Bomat Courier.
Yeah. And then we're gonna see resolution, I assume, of the Bone Crusher, a giant. And it's going to put him in a pretty tough spot. So what gets him out of this? Ancestral Recall into multiple burn spells could do it. If you can remove these, was it Riot? Whatever the ability is on Bloodsoak Champions, you basically have to attack. You can replay it.
See, Terminate on
Yeah. So I still have lethal anyways, yeah. So it's like, what are you going to do?
Yep. All right, and I believe that is the end of the round.
All right. Is that the end of the round for everyone?
That was the last match going. That was the last match that was still going. Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to have a round 4? I believe that was round 3. Are we going to have a round 4?
We're
or
going to have a round 4. We have 12 players, so we kind of wanted to make sure that basically everybody was on the same page in terms of how many rounds we run. So now we are kind of to the MTR recommended round level. We might be, except on Sundays, we just don't run never to 5 rounds, even if we somehow had, even if we have 70 players, we're not going to run 5 rounds because that's madness.
I mean, if we have 70 players, you probably need to relook the tournament structure.
No, I mean, if you have 17, that's a different thing. But if
right?
you have 17, the MTR says to run 4 rounds. But that means that as long as we have 9 players, we're going to run 4 rounds for the... I need to input some round results though, so yeah. I'm gonna stop talking now, and please y'all start talking. So yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, you guys go for it.
Okay. Just looking at a couple of the comments, in the chat, Arakasi, yeah, I mean that could be the case in like how you're building the deck. I think one of the issues that I see with Moxen, as far as like the comments I was making, is that a lot of times folks use them as incidental points, and when they use them as incidental points, because they just have a deck that's more fair based, like let's say 4-color blood or whatever. They'll tend to cut lands to add Moxen. And I think one of the issues you run into when you do that is like they're not quite lands from the standpoint of what I was talking about before, and they're also not great at fixing mana. So in a deck like 4-color blood, which has arguably fairly limited options for the points it's able to use, or even like some blue X decks, like I've run into a lot of situations where like having a fast mountain or having a fast island like doesn't per se translate into better win conditions. So I'd still need the mana density that I would need before. So in that style of deck, or in a lot of decks, like I tend to try to treat them as almost like essentially colorless additives. Now that said, in 2-color decks, like yeah, I mean like you do have greater opportunity to kind of look at them more so as lands, but they're not quite lands. They do have some frailty associated with them, and I think primarily before putting them in as kind of additive points, because you just don't have the remainder of the points, or like 3 points will top you off at 10. And a mox is always kind of a mox. That's kind of an argument folks make. You want to look to build for synergy, in my opinion, and have mana that's going to habitually work. And is the speed really going to be something that your deck is going to translate into more wins, over playing a card like Ancestral Recall in like a blue-black deck, for instance? And that's kind of a debate we've had, actually, like you and I both have had, I think just point to point. My position still stands. I think Recall is the right card for blue-black tempo over Moxen. Not to say that I'm like, 100% sure I'm right, but I've, ground a few matches with those cards, and that's just tended to be what I found. Candace, I just don't think blue-red in this tournament with the folks that are playing has tended to be something that I would choose. And I think in general, like if you're going to play control right now and you want to win, if you want to just maximize your win percentages with a blue X control deck, play Oracle. If you just want to win, I'm not saying it's going to be fun for you, but if what you want to do is win as many games of Magic as you can and play a blue X control style deck, Oracle's the way to go. Like I firmly believe that. I stand by that with pretty high fidelity, and that's coming from a person who like does play a lot of Blue Moon. I love the deck. It's actually the first deck I played after like a month-long break. I was like, I'm going to play some Blue Moon. I'm going to update this deck. I'm going to play it, and I won some games with it. But still, like if I knew I was going to probably face two red aggressive decks in a tournament, I'm not going to bring that. Maybe it's better than like blue-red tempo or blue-red blitz, but not by a large margin. It's still just a bad matchup. So yeah. And actually, I don't like Platts in that deck. I think Platts is kind of weak in that deck. Red's got a lot more incidental ways of dealing with artifacts now. I mean, you've got your Abrade, you got your Fiery Confluence. I've seen some folks play Smash Smithereens. I don't agree with that, but there's just you also have the Embereth Shield Breaker, which I think is a perfectly reasonable card to play, especially if you're going the Skull Clamp route. Like it's 2 mana 2/1, which is not great, but it's got 1 toughness, so you can convert it over into cards as clamp builds. You also have added utility at 1 mana to just blow some shit up. Blow some artifacts up. So like, there's just a lot of good red answers that are pretty flexible and can present a lot of answers and or like just turn into threats pretty independent of like that the artifact part of the card being relevant. A Braid, maybe a little less so, but like it's very rare that you're gonna have a matchup where like either destroying artifacts or killing 3 toughness and less creatures is not relevant. Like it's most matchups it is, even against Storm. So anyway, sorry, Balix, I'm just blathering over.
Yeah,
Anything else, man?
worries. I agree with most everything with what you said. So
Yeah. I mean, if you don't tell me, I mean, like I said, like I've been taking kind of a break. But it was funny to me is coming back is like, I was taking a break and like I didn't think I was thinking about Magic that much. And I got back and I'm like, I got all this shit to say about it. I've been thinking about it, I guess. Not consciously, maybe, just one of those games where like, you can just not think about it for a while and then have a bunch of thoughts about it all at once. So maybe you were thinking about it. I don't know. It's a weird game.
Been there a few times.
Yeah. But again, like I'm also someone who likes to be proven wrong too, because like the game would get really boring if I understood it completely. It'd be real fucking boring.
But yeah, like what you said about the Moxen.
Speaking of Blue Moon, we're actually going to see some Blue Moon action in the finals. So
cool. Who's playing Blue Moon today?
Evios 31.
Okay, that makes. I think they've been playing it previously. Who is in the finals?
Well, it's not really the finals. It's the only Brahms is our only 9-pointer right now, and he's trying to go undefeated. Evios is on 6 points, so we're going to watch Brahms versus Evios, which is Death and Taxes versus Blue Moon.
I think Blue Moon's actually a little bit favored in this, not because of the moon components, but depending on how they built the removal suite, they can definitely react along a curve. They have a lot of means of recuperating card advantage, and depending on how they're built, they can have sweepers. I don't know what sort of sweepers they are on. Generally, you see like the cycling 3 mana, 3 damage to everything spell.
Currently, I'm on Anger of the Gods and as Sweltering Suns as my sweepers.
I don't know what they're on, but I mean, given the metagame that we have here, I assume they're probably on some means of pretty efficient small creature removal, mass removal.
In this meta game, I'd be tempted to just jam Pyroclasms to be perfectly very.
Yeah, I've jammed a Plasm. I mean, you could jam like Electrolyze if you wanted to. I mean, you could do Subterranean Tremors to get a little bit of modality. So you've seen some Academy pop up every once in a while,
Sweltering Suns, Subterranean Tremors.
Yeah, there you
Hour
go.
of Devastation and Fiery Confluence.
Yeah, so they have a lot of ways of dealing with little white dudes. Now, that said, like most of these white decks, they're running stuff like Core Firewalker. I mean, we saw Burton. No, that wasn't Bram's deck, was it? That Burton Forge Tender?
No, that was in Luca's deck.
Luca's playing that. I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's right. I'm mono white, but there's quite a few like protection red cards that like are suitable. And like I've even played Silver Knight in this tournament, and it won me games. Like I was putting shits on it, and just beating people up that were playing red cards. So, his hand's not bad. A little slow for the white player, 1 drop, which I think you definitely want to put pressure on the blue-red deck. You don't want to give it time to kind of develop its advantage engines. The general game plan with these non-blue-white, like these blue-red decks, is to trade off generally at card parity. Like we were talking about some of the mass removal that they have, which is good and fine. But frankly, like 5 mana and above, like 4 mana above, frankly, for like sweeper effects, tends to be really kind of expensive. Most of the aggressive decks are looking to try to fish around turn 4, turn 4.5. So they can already have enough damage done that they can finish you off with their reach, which we know white doesn't have. And frankly is the reason why I think this matchup will tend to go to the blue-red, at least in my play experience with the matchup. But both decks have their tricks. And a card like PalaceJailer, if that can land, like if there's a Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt drawn early and they can just land that thing, can frankly just end the game because the threat density of the blue-red decks tends to be a little bit lower, especially the control variants like this. So,
yeah,
I'd go either way. It's actually going to be a good game, I think. I'm excited to watch it. So, let's see some graveyard hate. I don't know if they're expecting like a Root Potato to show up or something. And I don't know if you need it anymore. I'm not sure like how sold I am on playing. I'm playing the Rat Ninja. Or I'm sorry, the Fox Samurai. What's her name? Samurai the Pale Curtain.
Yeah.
Cool card, and like I do run it from time to time, depending on who I think's going to be around and how much of a graveyard synergy there's going to be. Now, Dryad Militant's like a staple. Like that one, like I think that's one of the best 1-drops in that deck as far as like just a beater goes.
Interesting. Brahms took a mulligan to 5, I believe, here.
Yeah, we actually see the Dryad Militant come out. This hand's great. It's got a Stoneforge Mystic Altered Art. You get rid of probably the Field of Rune and probably the removal spell. You want to get pressure on them. They're permanent based, threats and things that you need to kill are going to be pretty low. Like the most you have to worry about by turn 2 is like JVP or like search for his Kanta. By turn 3, it starts expanding. You have like options like Mu Yanling. You have the Royal Scions, Dak Faden if they're running it, which is not as common anymore. Although I've started going back to it with some of the cards that have synergies with draw effects. One card I've been high on in blue-red, and I don't know if, Red Mage, sorry to take you away from your technical endeavors to get the hands up. One of the cards I've kind of enjoyed recently, and I don't know if it's correct, but I've had decent success with, at least on the online meta, is Ironcrag Pyromancers. 3 mana 0/4 that whenever you draw your second card a turn, you can do 3 damage to any target. You can kill player, remove planeswalkers, kill creatures. I've tended to find the wall and the kill effect on it very good. That's why I started kind of going back over to Dak. Plus, I've started trying to approach control less from the standpoint of like traditional, like just card advantage, and more so from retaining or basically preventing tempo advantage for my opponent, because the decks are so quick that it's really hard to kind of wait for some of these bigger, battle cruiser cards to kind of like get you back in the game late. They can just get so much early advantage because the cards are so great that they don't always work. This Blood Moon's not going to be at its best.
Yeah, I'm looking at Evios's hand here. To me, it seems kind of an odd keep for me.
Well, they got a removal spell. They have a removal spell. They got a Jace. Did they keep it 7 or they maul?
They kept 7.
Yeah, they did, eh? Yeah, I don't know.
This hand just seems too...
doesn't do anything.
Maybe they didn't know what they were playing against.
Yeah, maybe. I would assume you probably have the ability to know what you're playing against by this point in the tournament,
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone's going to fault you for looking through the messages on the Discord and being like, yeah, I'm playing against, White Weenie or Death and Taxes. This is bad. You want to get your Sword of Fire and Ice here. You see their lands. You know what they're up to. I assume you're playing Sword of Fire and Ice. I don't know that. They are. Yeah. That is one of the swords that I think is probably the most played sword, I guess. Although the Sword of Feast and Famine is also pretty good. Some of the newer swords, like the ones that were printed in Modern Horizons, are fine. I actually really like Sword of Light and Shadow, specifically in this deck, in Death and Taxes. That's a dragon.
That little bit of recursion. Pretty good.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're playing against a really aggressive metagame, it does give you that life gain. I know we talked about how life gain is not like the most relevant in like winning that matchup, but it's incremental life gain that also represents damage and also buys back more threats. So you're getting more blockers, you're getting more attackers, and you're playing a bunch of creatures. So like if no one's killing them, they're probably killing them, and if they're killing them, then you get them back. So it's like it kind of just does a little bit of all of it in this style of deck. Now, I'm not saying it's better than Sort of Light and Shadow or Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice is just really good. And blue-red, again, is a very popular color combination. I mean, we've seen it throughout the day. And we see it here in the finals. So, it's blue cards tend to be pretty good. Red cards.
Latnam's Legacy. How often does this one show up in
a lot?
Style of decks?
Love this card. think it's great. Think it's a very, very good card. And I personally, in Blue Moon, like in the control variants of this deck, I think it's an auto include almost. Because the problem is, like, I was talking about like how you want to go 1-for-1 with a lot of these decks, but like the thing is, like, you know, Flame Slash doesn't go like it goes 1-for-1, and it's a good card at going 1-for-1. It kills a lot of shit that costs a lot more mana, but it doesn't go 1-for-1 with like, you know, the Storm deck, right? Because they have like 3 or 4 creatures, and most of them you sack for mana, or like they're cost reducers. They're kind of like they're basically enchantments or mana producers, right? It's kind of how they interact. So like in that matchup, like, you know, if you have those cards, like you can draw those cards. If you have Latnam's Legacy, you can just get rid of those fucking cards and then hopefully find like your Spell Pierces or your Force Negations. You know, you have like, because you're, in my opinion, like the best way to play the deck or like approach the deck is that you want to be able to trade efficiently and then just recuperate advantage, in my opinion, through recall. That's how I like building the deck. I think recall is great in this style of build. You know, you're looking to get your card advantage later on at mana efficiency and then just trade off cards. But the issue you run into, and it's kind of like an issue of all Xerox, is that, you know, when you increase the efficiency and power level of your cards, they become less flexible. So having cards like Latnam's Legacy, which allows you to get rid of cards that are possibly irrelevant in the matchup because you're playing these cards that are singularly powerful but yet focused, you know, not flexible, you can draw them, they can just be totally irrelevant. And I think a card like Legacy is great because you just toss them back in your deck and try to redraw something better. You know, obviously the best of worlds is you just don't draw the bad cards in the matchup you're in, but like you
Yeah.
don't get that opportunity in Blue Moon. You don't in Control. Like you're playing against a lot of different stuff that's very powerful. Some of it's a lot of very linear, very powerful, but yet diverse strategies that you have to adapt for. You know, and you can't beat them all. Like you can't build the deck to beat them all. I mean, you can beat them all, but you have to get a little bit more lucky in some based on how you build it. So I think Latinum's Legacy gives you that flexibility in building to make more decisions in gameplay to know what's relevant in the matchup you're in. So I like it a lot. Not a lot of cards allow you to put cards back in your deck. You also have Fire Prophecy, which I've enjoyed that card, especially in a more creature-heavy meta game like we've seen here. You know, but yeah, the ability to put cards back in is parity is pretty good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire Prophecy is. I haven't had a whole lot of chance to test it, but I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I played it actually a decent bit. That's one of the decks that before I kind of took my break, I was, retuning up because I was like, this thing, I was playing it a bit and I'm like, this deck does not really feel like I want it to feel. And so I just went back through the whole thing and kind of just changed it up. And that was one of the cards I was testing out with. And I'm like, yep, I like it. I'm really a big fan. Lots me get rid of trash. Hopefully
draw
a lot of stuff.
Things they want. It puts because you end up with some situational cards, like you said, and it gets rid them. And
yeah, and sorry to the folks at home. Like we were talking more about like just strategy in general. This game's kind of been a beating from the start. Like we talked about, like the opening hand wasn't great for the matchup on the blue-red player side, and we had to turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic into a card that basically requires a fairly immediate answer, or else your OP's drawing 2 cards a turn off Sword of Fire and Ice plus killing you. You're not blocking it, and you have to find your Braid or whatever you got to deal with it, your Fiery Confluence, and like the red mana. They just didn't have it, right? So that game looks pretty bleak from the start.
And here we see Sword of Fire and Ice again, an opener for Brahms.
Yeah, the good news in this one is, though, like they have a Force of Will, they have this remand, and they also have a means via, Devastation, whatever that thing is, Hour of Devastation,
yeah.
to possibly sweep the board. So, you're going to just force a will that sword. Like, that sword can't resolve. Like, especially if you don't have, like, a Braid or something like that in hand. Like, you don't want that to resolve because it just makes every creature afterwards relevant. And you're going to force it and then hope to develop your mana, which we drew a mountain there, to cast out this 5-drop that kills every single goddamn thing.
That is not one that you often see, to be fair. It's a big sweeper.
Yeah.
No. I think it's too much mana. I don't play it either. I don't like it.
Yeah, I haven't been on Hour of Devastation. I tried it and was like, this costs like a 3 mana.
But then again, like in this metagame, like what we've seen, like the creature decks, the value-based mid-range decks that like Baylight enjoys playing, like play a lot of these like walkers and like a lot of like creatures that are fairly resilient, and like this thing can kill off a lot of that's 5 damage, right? So I mean, kills off a lot of walkers that have had 1 to 2 activations, and it kills off like siege rhinos.
Would you ever have a Storm's Wrath though?
I don't know. Sure, maybe. Me personally, but again, like I would rather play more blue cards and just stop them before it hits me.
I mean,
I'd rather trade 1 for 1, and I'd rather trade 1 for 1, and then just have a lot more means of finding my recall and just casting a recall like 5 times, and then just keep on trading 1 for 1, but have like these 2 extra cards that don't have to trade 1 for 1 that actually pressure my opponent, kill them, or like grow up more cards.
I'm with you there. That's what I would do. But like,
maybe not
you want to
cards,
put a bigger wrath in your board that isn't like Anger of the Gods, right? Like, wouldn't you rather have
I didn't play Anger. Like, I just play point removal, so like 1 and 2 mana removal spells. Like, and like I sometimes I'll play Lateralize, but it's very rare. Like, I have a soft spot for that card. I don't think it's the best though. I'm gonna see this get remanded. Well, if they don't get a blue card, I didn't see what their draw was because the hand cam kind of disappeared there. They're getting 2 draws off they draw off the remand plus the draw this turn. If they don't have a blue card, they can't force a will this sword. It could be bleak. My guess would be we're going to see probably a Brahms get cast next turn. They're going to look to hit their 5th land drop and try to do it all at once. They're going to play the chase out. So I'm really. Is there hand cam down on your end as well?
Yeah, the swords keeps coming and going. It's
okay. Yeah, I'm curious to know if they drew a blue card because, like, if they just slam a sword here, that could be rugged. Well, they don't have the ability. So what I kind of fear for them here is if they don't. I guess they have a couple draws, so they still have this Jace, and this Jace probably not going to die this turn. They're going to go for the sword on the 5th turn because you're going to want to cast it and then just get the value off it right away. My guess would be they're just going to play this fella out. Find a 1-drop. Guess would be Mother of Runes. Could see it being a Thraben Inspector, but like I kind of like Mother of Runes here. You go for the sweep. Yeah, Mother of Runes makes sense. You go for the sweep. You get the sweep. They're probably not going to sack this thing to stop spells from being cast. Would be my guess. They're probably going to hope to do it next turn so they can equip this sword without it getting countered. So you should flip your Jace first. Look for a blue spell. They don't find it. So the sword's going to resolve. The board's going to be clear. What's interesting to me is like, what does their OP do at that point? They probably just resolve a Gideon or a Brahms. Brahms and Arakasi is pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
The downside of this is they lose their Jace as well, so the Jace is not going to get to flip here, which is rough because you're like one turn away. I guess the Arakasi is going to deal with it anyways, but could have dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a clamp too, which is worrisome.
Yeah, with an active Primas, I'm not a huge fan of it. No.
For the blue-red player?
Yeah,
no.
if I'm the blue-red player, yeah. And I'm the blue-red player.
Yeah, it's called generally losing.
Yeah.
It's called, it being fair to them, though, like, I don't mind if this is hand, but they drew a lot of lands here. Like, they're obviously just, and now they're going to get buried in cards, and this one's just ended. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, here, you probably don't even... I'm going to attack, eat my thing with the clamp and to see if I have better options. I don't think you play that land out, though, because one of your better things to do at this point is probably to try to get them. I mean, they probably have counter spells, what I'm assuming. They either have counter spells or utter dog shit, and it's a little bit of a mix. It's one counter spell and then utter dog shit. But I kind of like saving the sword just to kind of get them,
Yeah.
I don't think it matters that much. I think just given we know if they're holdings, the game's over. But it's definitely the way it can go. Like we definitely called it at the beginning. I was like, I think Blue Moon's generally pretty good against this style of deck, but it did not pan that way for sure.
And just a little bit too much mana and having to fight against these recurring.
Yeah, in game one, just
all these threats.
End of the day, game one, like bad keep, just not a great keep. I'm not saying that's their fault. I mean, like they may not have known the matchup and just been like, this is okay. Playing against a 3 or 4 color deck, maybe I can get them. But alrighty, well, that's another land, and my guess would be you're probably just gonna see Evios just concede here, and be like, yeah, I'm good. I probably would. I'd probably be over it. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't think you're getting out of this. Like, the clamp's gonna, have pretty good upward mobility and drawing, and it's gonna put them under 7 cards next turn if they want to. And they get a scry, and that's it.
I think if Evios casts this Gideon, that's going to warrant a concede from Evios because that'll get rid of all of his outs.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the cards alone. I think I would be like, yeah, I'm good. I mean, you probably know how to play your deck if you're in the finals. I'll trust you. You got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, big oof. It is a big oof. A little fancy, but it's Magic, right? And you play an aggressive deck, against the control deck. If the control deck kind of hits the wrong parts of its deck at the wrong time, the proactive deck that kills people, it'll just kill people. Yeah. Who put a quote in there? At this point, they either have counter spells or utter dog shit. Sounds a little bit of picks. That's a pretty good one. Did you put that in there, Red Mage?
I did.
Fair enough.
What do we want to watch? We have Wolfgang versus Necro. We have Arakasi versus Blahguy. Zannty versus PalaceJailer.
I don't care. You choose one. I'm down for whatever.
We haven't watched PalaceJailer at all. Let's go watch them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see. PalaceJailer is on the red-green Blitz deck.
Yeah.
Seems to be an interesting matchup here.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure who I would consider to be general favorite in this matchup.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty positional. I think the damage output of red-green's much higher. But you can. I think it's gonna come a lot down to playing it because I mean, like the blitz decks are kind of awkward, right? Like especially against other red decks, because like you really got to pick your time right, or you got to force the situation to a point at which you like basically eat up all of their mana and then just buy that one critical turn just to dump all your bullshit on one creature and just kill them. But again, we haven't seen PalaceJailer's deck play, so it may not be as blitzy as I'm thinking. Like I'm thinking like many pump spells in the deck,
Yeah.
Thinking a bunch of pump spells, even some 2-mana pump spells. Some pump. I don't know if that's per se the case. It could be a little less than that. It could just be like, more of a a red-green mid-rangey deck, which is also a very good, viable strategy, which I'm starting to think it is because that is a 5-drop, which is fine.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about it. I mean, you can't counter that, unfortunately, for you. You can tap it. But that's a big lad right there. It's a big old lad.
Yeah, Thundermaw, historically a pretty good Magic card.
You can fire ice. You can ice it here. Draw another card, which I think I would probably do just to abate the race. It's just going to be. I mean, they've got now 8 power plus the DRS, which can gain life back if there are creatures that get put in the bin. I mean, if you fire up the treetop village, you can get in there. So they're not going to ice this thing. Interesting.
Yeah, I would have liked to ice that as well.
Yeah, it's just, you're not doing.
Drawing a card seems pretty good here.
You can also kill off the DRS if you want to try to tempo them out. They're at 13.
Yeah,
so I mean,
true.
you could burn off this DRS, which is now inactive, and get in for more damage. It's reasonable.
Matchfur is correct. Zannty is up a game. Just letting people know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this card right here has been interesting too. Like, I've been very glad to cut this card. This 1/3. Like, I often I supported this card over the 2/2 haste flyer because I like the increased utility of this Storm Chaser Mage to be able to block because it's a 1/3 and it can get bigger in blocks. And it can also attack, attacks worse, but it blocks and attacks. But now with the Sprite Dragon, I think the leniency of being able to play this card has probably dropped a little bit. I think Sprite Dragon is just far better. I mean, it has a lower floor. I mean, it dies to a lot of burn, which it's harder to kill this card with. But you just kill people so fast that card. So I don't know if it's it's not always going to be better, but this 1/3 is just awkward. Right, because especially the decks play counter spells, it's it doesn't really get after people too quickly.
Merfolk Trickster seems extremely good in this position.
Yeah, I mean the downside to it is you're not using your counter spell, and you're presenting a little bit more pressure, I guess.
Yeah.
And your OP also has cards, right? So I mean, it's what are they doing? Unless you're firing up all of it and just trying to hit them for 8 and try to put them on a 2-turn clock, which is not unreasonable if your hand sucks. You're not killing them on the next turn, I guess is my point. You're taking 3 down to 12, and if they have at that point any 3 damage burn spell, you're dead to the follow-on attack. Or if they have a way to make more, if they make land drop, then the Hash Oasis can also just, you can stack that thing on top of a dragon and kill them. All right. I actually kind of like this play better. I like putting this thing out because it gives you more clock. You can't kill them in one more turn cycle. So I don't mind this. I actually kind of like this more than actually trickstering here. I like saving the trickster for the turn you're going to try to win. I don't know. I guess I just want to get that out of hand. But that card's just going to block. So it's
why
if you don't have tramp.
Blossoming Defense in?
Well, the reason would be is if they did it first and then they put a berserk on it and they were like, hey, get got, that would work. That'd kill them, actually, because they could just berserk it and then fire up the treetop village and attack them with enough trample to kill them.
Yeah.
That'd be the reason why you do it, but I don't know why they did it there. And actually, that would have been really good against the trickster, but again, they're probably gonna get rid of that card more than likely with this thing. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just read them and weep. I got double berserk. I got berserk, and I got berserk, and I got what's the other one? Assault Strobe, and there's there's the 2-mana one.
Takes Eldritch Evolution.
Oh, Timur Battle Rage.
Yeah, that one. There's that one. There's a 3-mana one. Uncaged Fury is one. There's so many different Uncaged Fury is not playable. It's a 3-mana bad card. It gives a double strike, but it's bad. I think it does. Is it +2/+0 and double strike? Uncaged Fury.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Assault Strobe, sorcery speed, 1 mana for double strike on a thing. It may be +1/+0 double strike, but I think it's just double strike on Assault Strobe.
Yep, Assault Strobe. It's just double strike, I think.
There's Armed and Dangerous if you want to go deep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. Most of them not too good. And that is one of the downsides of these decks. You need to draw the creatures and you need to draw the pump. If you just draw the creatures, some of them get the job done. I mean, this Hellkite's fine. But if you just draw the pump, you tend to be hitting bad spots. Then you're going all in on Land of War Elves and hoping not to get blown out by one burn spell.
Definitely. Well, here we see a big swing here. Probably see the hopefully see the immediately click in front of this Thundermaw.
You may not. Like, they could just try to go for lethal. I don't.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, and they haven't made a land drop, so like I think they're pretty far. I don't think they're pretty far away. Actually, they're one land drop away from doing Haship Oasis, stacking that on top of the Treetop Village to have more trample damage to come through. And like this card is fine. The Legion Warboss doesn't really change the clock per se.
No, because they need to trickster this Hellkite.
Yeah. And Trickster's a 2/2, so they can. What is Hatchet Boys? Is it +3/+3 or is it +2/+2?
+2/+3.
Well, it's
+2.
It's 3.
+3/+3.
Only at sorcerer speed.
Yeah, correct. So that puts it 6. They can only put them down to 1. If they have another land drop, they can actually not block with the Llanowar Elves, and I believe attack for lethal, right? Because they can activate the Treetopville, sorcery speed, Haship Oasis for 3, and make the Treetopville a 6/6. They can block 4 of it, or I'm sorry, 2 of it, taking 4, and if the Llanowar hits, they put them to dead.
Well, they'd have to draw a land for that to happen, and the Goblin Guy didn't reveal one.
That's fair.
So, I imagine we're just going to see probably boot up Treetop Village because you're dead in the air either way.
I mean, I think you just ship with the dragon, right? I mean, like, how do you get punished here? Bounce spell? And the Vil itself doesn't kill them on its own unless you have a pump spell to support the Treetop Vil.
Yeah.
So if you have the pump spell, you just fire up the Treetop Village as well, so you have double threats that kill. If you don't have double threats that kill, like, there's really not a big difference, in my opinion, between putting them, like, not safeguarding yourself. That's not a bad one. They can counterspell it. Then they're going to dead, so they're just going to tap
They
one of
have
these
to
things.
Trickster.
Yeah.
Block this wreck.
Yeah, they had Trickster the Dragon and Brock the Cirque.
And then I believe they're just dead. The red-green player's dead. There's 0 cards. Yeah, they're just dead. All right, yeah. Yeah, they're just dead, so. Yeah. And it looks like that's match. This is game 2, and I believe the blue-red deck won the first one.
Yeah, blue-red was up a game, so...
Do we want to jump to another game? I mean, I assume they'll make their attacks. If we have any more going.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait to see the
killing below when you watch the Executioner's axe.
I'll wait to see. Yeah, these thing.
Of course.
Let's see if
the crowd, of course.
Anything else? We have Wolfgang versus Necro. That's actually pretty interesting. That's the last thing going.
Okay, so Aggro versus Oracle. Okay.
Yep.
I think. I mean, here's the thing I was talking to Necro about, because I don't know how much they practice with the deck. This deck can win this matchup. The issue, and they've evidently already tutored, so my assumption is they have a win right now. Because the reason I say they've tutored is I am like 95% sure there's no Wishclaw Talisman in that red deck, and I do know that it goes inside that Esper deck. So
I think they may have had to use the Wishclaw Talisman to have an answer to this board. Because Necro only has 1 card in hand.
Yeah, it begs the question: why would you? Yeah, okay. Why would you do that? It's possible.
And this is just lethal if Wolfgang tutors for Fire Blast here.
Yeah.
The match score is currently 1v1.
Receive a Vendilion click. So yeah, it looks like Necro did have to Wishclaw for an answer.
Yeah, guys, but they're on my build of Esper Oracle. Yeah. I see in the comments there.
I have to say, I like how easier it is to show hands start showing hands mid match now that we're using Discord for hand cams. Like, it's just.
Oh, you guys aren't using Google Hangouts anymore?
Yeah, we're not using Google Hangouts anymore.
It honestly makes sense. I mean, because like the all our acoustics are coming off over Discord. To like use one like operating system kind of makes sense to me. I think that's a pretty good idea. I did not know that.
I mean, it's I took me a while to figure out a way to do that, and then I did, and then we moved to Discord because Hangouts was kind of an ugly solution to begin with.
Yeah. So is this the last game in this match?
This is the last game, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, game's over then. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So just Wishcloth for a burn spell and activate Chandra.
Yeah. I mean, a Fire Blast to do it. Or Bolt.
Or, I mean,
whatever.
Bolt,
Really,
really
whatever.
does it.
You just do Lava Spike just to troll and be like, yeah, this card's in my deck. Or get the Lava Spike. Just get that one. Just be like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, we didn't see all that one. I think, would Necro end up going? They go 2-2? Or did she go 2-2 in this one?
I will give you the answer in a second.
I assume 2-2.
She went 2-2.
Yeah, and that's honestly like, I'm glad we got to see that deck, which is a more committed version of Oracle get to play on. I think it's one of those decks that like definitely it has a pretty high ceiling. I'm not saying that's like a perfect build of it, but I think it has a high ceiling on it when you practice it. But I think the median quality of the deck, if you haven't practiced on it or if you haven't put a lot of time into it, is going to be a little lower than like your standard like just good decks like Red Deck Wins, where you can. I feel like you're pretty good just picking that up, and you can probably win a lot of games because the deck quality is pretty good. And in general, like playing it to the 70th percentile is going to win you a lot of games most often. But I also think that like, Red Deck Wins is probably not a matchup that on Oracle you tend to really want to see, especially if you're on a slower build like that. It's Control V aggro, Control V red-based aggro, which generally speaking, like it's kind of a coin toss. And when you're on the combo control end of the spectrum, you kind of just want to treat the matchup like two ships passing in the night, like have like 1 to 2 pieces of interaction and then just combo them out as fast as you can. And if you don't get the hands to support that, it can be pretty tough. So,
Yep.
So I'm glad you guys got to have me on today, Red Mage, and it was good getting to commentate with you, Balix. I'm probably going to head out here relatively soon. Are you getting ready to wrap this thing up, Red Mage?
Yeah, we have final standings. I want to congratulate Brahms for going undefeated today.
Awesome.
Our usual home housekeeping announcement to close the event, and then I'm gonna send you to raid some Canadian Highlander human being. I want to remind everybody that we are why. I'm hearing my voice back, which shouldn't be happening. Okay, I know how to fix that. Sorry. I want to remind everybody that this tournament is brought to you by, among other people, you. If you, by which I mean, if you feel like you have, your Prime sub burning in your pocket, and you should definitely use it on somebody. If it's us, we are honored. We would be honored, and we would definitely. It would definitely be good to help us keep the boat floating. To do stuff like price support, all the jazz. Otherwise, use your Prime sub on somebody. If it's not us, it should be somebody. If you want to use a regular sub on us, then we are definitely honored for you, that you feel like we are worth of you taking your money out of your pocket. Outside of that, if you want to sign up for next week, you should be on our Discord. The exclamation point Discord leads you to the Canadian Highlander Discord, that uses kind of as a base of operation for this event. And also, it's just great to be there for like the format as a whole. It's gonna, people can help you getting started for the format. People can help you getting signed up for the event. If you want the links, exclamation point next poll gets you there. Also, if you just want updated links at all times for what the next events are going to be, there is a link to our website, the10thpoint.weebly.com, and that has the upcoming events page is going to be kept updated with everything, with always the link to our most to our relevant polls for upcoming events. We are if you need information on the format and all of that stuff, as usual, Highlander, but seriously, just exclamation point Highlander. But seriously, just join the Discord. That is going to be your best bet. Everybody in there is great, and people will be eager to help. With that said, I am going to close the stream in a second. Let's see what I'm gonna send you. I saw that Surge was online earlier, which always great. Yeah, let's do Surge. We haven't done Surge. In a bit, so let's send you Surge. Surge wise. Surge wise. Sure, let's go there. Raid Surge Jaeger. Thanks to everybody that sat down with us and watched today. I will see you all next week. Let's go raid some Surge. Later. Bye.